Well.
All right, we're recording just to let you know.
Sounds good.
I know this is a different setup than normal because I didn't bring a third microphone. I was like, I don't need it. There's no reason to bring the third microphone.
Right.
Yeah, I needed it because I have to do my little introduction. By the way, our episode always presented by Locker Room Legends down in Lindale Mall, South Side. Make sure you check out Dan. He's super amazing, and we appreciate him so much because he does so much for us. And today, you're not going to get a huge monologue from me because my guest is already here.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Amy Salger.
Amy Salger, who I didn't realize how long I've known you.
I was trying to pinpoint that. When did you come up with?
When we talked at the restaurant the last time, you told me that you remember us not hanging out, but knowing each other in the 8th grade.
Okay, see, I think it was somewhere in elementary school, though.
Okay.
But I don't know at what point.
Well, hang on, because I got held back a year because I wasn't overly intelligent and dedicated to academics.
Okay.
So I got held back in the 6th grade.
Okay.
So probably the 6th grade.
So maybe 6th grade then.
So we've known each other not as friends, but as acquaintances for 30-some years. Yeah.
33-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. It's a long time.
That is a while.
I feel bad for you.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Oh, well, now I feel flattered.
There you go. However, when I introduced myself, I forgot really the most important person, if you will, that's here.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And beside me on the floor is my guide dog, Marsala.
Marsala, who sadly will probably not make it on the camera because there's not
unless
really
you move her somehow or move the camera somehow.
Yeah. I mean, everyone would probably love to see Marsala because she is
I think
adorable.
we'd be beneficial if we just put the camera on her.
You know what? I think people why didn't I think of that? Just do a couple hour conversation and just to see the dog sleeping. Everyone would love that.
Yep, she's pretty cute.
You know what? I might start doing that from now on. Just film my own dog.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is your dog behaved enough that he'll just sit there
No, she's rambunctious.
Well, it'd be entertaining.
It would be entertaining, especially if she had a ball with her and she's just trotting around the room all day long.
Then you need a camera that's going to move her.
Does she have her favorite toy, Marsala?
She does have a couple. So she has one toy in particular that it's kind of like a Go Nuts is the brand that we take outside, and that one she likes. Otherwise, inside, her favorite toys seem to be stuffed type toys with really long appendages, so long arms, or like frogs, ducks. We have found actually recently, well, since Christmas, when we're shopping and we go to buy her a new toy, she of course is in harness and I heel her, but my children will take a toy and they'll show it to her. And if she does not like the toy, she literally will turn her head away from it. And if it's one she wants, she kind of tries to nibble at it a little bit. it's like this, like, I'm in harness, I can't play, but yes,
but I really want
this
to.
is the one I want. Yes.
You know what one of my favorite memories of Marsala, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but she almost tripped me at a restaurant one time.
She does that. People don't recognize she's there.
No, I knew she was there.
Well, that's your own fault.
As I was walking past, she stuck her nose up because fry fell on the floor.
Oh, yes.
And then she was trying to get the fry and almost tripped me. Not that I was mad, but I was just like, oh.
She is a very well-trained dog, but as they taught us in class, they are still dogs.
They have instincts,
Yes. And there are certain instincts that, she'll ignore to a certain extent. But when it comes to certain foods on the floor, if I can sneak by with grabbing it, why not?
Gonna do it, yeah.
Yeah. Her vice is popcorn.
Oh, really?
That is her vice.
Yeah?
Yep.
Like most people's.
True.
Yeah.
It's actually quite comical. I use one of those popcorn makers that you put on the stove, put everything in. And even if I happen to move that pan from the stove onto the counter so I can cook something else, as soon as she hears that pan or the bowls that I always use when I make popcorn, she's out in the kitchen. And then she chooses which of the boys she's going to go to for the popcorn.
Because you're not going to do it. So.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yep, nope.
Pick your opponents wisely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is Gavin less likely or Reagan today? Which one do
Gavin,
I go for?
That's a very Scottish name. I appreciate that. All right, so we are a charity-based podcast. By the way, I forgot to mention a charity yesterday. I realized that this morning. I was like, I said we're a charity-based podcast, and we never talked about a charity yesterday. So for those of you who are offended by that, I am deeply sorry. And you can make up your own charity for that episode if you'd like. So you have a charity you want to talk about today for this episode.
Yes. So Guide Dogs for the Blind. This is the organization that I got Marsala through. They have their primary campus is in San Rafael, California, and they have a secondary campus in Boring, Oregon, which is near Portland. And Guide Dogs for the Blind, actually, they do not receive any state or federal funding. Okay. So everything, all of their operating budgets, providing guide dogs to clients is all based from donations, fundraisers that they do, as well as they have got a group that's called Legacy, which are individuals who have kind of pre-decided that part of their estate will go to the organization.
Okay.
But one of the things that is also, a couple things that are different about Guide Dogs for the Blind in comparison to other organizations is that they actually provide their services free to cost to us as clients. And nice. So we do not actually buy the dog. They breed the dogs, they train them. They've got amazing individuals called puppy raisers who are actually the ones who do all of the work of training them and teaching them, your basic commands, sit, stay, but also socialize them and those type of things. And then the dogs will go back to campus for the training. And when we are matched with a dog, when we're accepted into the program and then matched with a dog, they take care of all of our transportation to go out there. They have resident halls that we stay in during the 2-week training process. And then they even have a veterinary financial assistance program for clients who need some assistance with the veterinary bills after graduating with your dog. So it's a great organization. Obviously, they do amazing work and make those of us who are visually impaired much more independent and confident in our travels. But they, like I said, they do it without federal or state funding and no cost to us to make sure they don't want finances to be something that would impede anyone with getting a guide dog.
So did you have to go to California or did you have to go to Boring, Oregon?
I did. I went to California. So it's kind of when you're going through the application process, that's one of the questions is they ask you which campus would you prefer to go to. And then it also kind of depends on which dog they feel is a good match for you. So, if your match would be more at the Oregon campus, then they would maybe encourage you to go there. I actually chose California because I've got some relatives out there, and we have one day off during the 2 weeks that you kind of have a free day. Right. And so I had some relatives out there and wanted to see them if I could, and that worked out great. And
they must be rich because California is not exactly cheap.
Cost of living is a little bit higher out there.
A little bit. I mean, I lived in California for almost 2 years in Santa Cruz. Okay. And the only thing that was cheap there was the food. Everything else was god-awful expensive.
Yep. Yeah. It definitely is. Definitely is. I like the Midwest.
Yeah?
Yes.
Even though we get big snowstorms and derechos.
I am a person who complains about the weather when it's extremely cold and extremely hot, but I would be bored with 75 degrees and sunny all year round.
Probably not going to have much fun in heaven then.
Well.
I mean, heaven to me was 80 during the day and 40 at night every single day.
But that's to you.
I'm not going to heaven, so it doesn't matter. God's going to see me and go, nah.
I don't know if I'm going to agree with that. But
I do. But, you don't know me, Amy.
Now, Marsala would be happier if we could get rid of the rain in Iowa.
Really? She's not a big thunderstorm girl?
Hates water.
Hates water? Really?
Oh, hates water. Absolutely hates water. If there are puddles as we're traveling, she will guide us both around the puddles as much as she can. If one of us has to go through the puddle, since she knows it's safe and not going to injure me, I'm the one that gets sacrificed.
There you go.
She's trained, so the dogs are trained to follow a left line, and if there's wetness on the pavement or like a puddle along the curb, she will actually use that line of where the pavement is dry versus wet as her left line. It's comical.
That's great. Marsala, you're my hero.
I know.
She's not. She's 90% of the reason I want to spend more time with her. But then of course she laid on the other side, so I don't even get to have that time with her.
No. Yep. We should have discussed the fact that she's usually on my left side.
Oh man.
So, yep. I know. Hey, like I said, I was excited it was only 90%. It's when it
that's
comes
not
to
true.
Marsala, it's like 90%.
If I'm completely and 100% honest with you, You are one of the 5 people. When I first started this, I said I absolutely have to interview. It's true. It's
Aw,
true. There was
very sweet.
Karimi was one of them.
Sure.
Jerry was another one. Darwin's one. Do you know
Okay.
Darwin?
Yep.
He's delightful, isn't he?
He is a very delightful
And
individual, yes.
I really want to talk to him because you can back me up on this. I think that Darwin's presence in this small town has changed the small town forever.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
definitely for the better.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
And he was never harsh to anyone, was never mean to anyone.
Nope.
He always, with everything that was thrown at him, took it with a smile and said, I'm going to change your mind.
Yep.
And so I want Darwin on here. You were one, because I really wanted you to be on, because I think your story is very fascinating. I think that there's a lot of things that people don't think about that you can relate to. And I said this when I first started this, you were one of the first 5 people I wanted on here. Unfortunately, you made it to episode 13, I think. Ooh, lucky number 13.
Hey,
look
go.
at that. If you're superstitious, I'm not, but
Well, at least it's not Friday the 13th.
no, it's Wednesday.
Exactly. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep. Although had we been thinking, we should have done the taping on the 13th. But
yeah, well,
we didn't put those together. So
here's the problem. I'm not very detail oriented, and so thinking of dates to do these things is not. I was just excited. I hadn't recorded in 3 months on other people.
Right.
I did one on myself.
Sure.
If you would have listened to that, you'd know how weird I really am.
We all have our own idiosyncrasies.
No, this is different.
Well,
yeah.
But if you're talking to yourself and carrying on conversation with yourself, you have to expect that you're going to have a few weird things. I mean,
No, I revealed on my own episode that I actually live with DID.
Okay.
You know what that is?
I do.
Yeah.
Dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah. So when, like the other day, my mom was like, well, you're going to be eating by yourself. I'm like, I'm never alone.
I'm never alone.
Don't worry about that.
Right?
All right.
Me and my friends.
So we've known each other for a long time. You've already said that you have vision impairment.
Correct.
But that's not always been the case.
No, it is not. I was actually 13. And I went from basically a minor reading prescription to legally blind in the matter of about 9 months.
Wow, that must have been quite the...
It was a transition.
Yeah.
It was something like I noticed it happened more so over the summers when I noticed it. My abilities to play softball was significantly decreasing. But, you also in 7th grade, you have that transition for girls. You have that transition to all of a sudden playing school ball, not just little league. So it was kind of like, okay, well, is it adjusting to that? Is it, but then noticed like I was sitting closer to the TV. I can remember one time my mom saying, move away from the TV. And I was like, I can't see it if I move away from the TV. So we always did annual eye exams before school started. So did that. Yep, the optometrist was like, yep, you need a new reading prescription. Eyesight's changed. Okay. Glasses run in my family. No big deal. Whatever. Got to school. My glasses weren't in yet, so not seeing the board really wasn't, abnormal. Same thing with like playing volleyball. It was like, okay, a little more difficult to see the ball, but again, got glasses coming. I failed the Grant Wood vision test miserably.
Oh, no.
I could actually remember the lady at one point going, there's not that many letters in a line. And I was like, yeah, all right, well, got glasses coming, whatever. Well, it was bad enough that the nurse called my mom. And so just to be safe, they took me back to the optometrist who was here in town. And this was a matter of weeks, and he got a completely different reading on my eyes. So he recommended that I go see a specialist. So I ended up at Wolf Clinic at that time in Cedar Rapids. The ophthalmologist that I saw actually is still my ophthalmologist today. And I've informed him that he's not allowed to retire.
How did he take that news?
He just laughs at me.
Okay.
It's good. Like, I was 13 since he's seen me. So he basically has watched me grow up for the most part.
All right.
And things. So I have a very close relationship with him in that sense and stuff. And so he, of course, had to go through multiple testings, various appointments all the time. I do remember going back. I did go to Iowa City for some additional testing, secondary opinion. I remember at one point went up to Mayo. And, of course, the results all came back the same. I have what is called Stargardt's disease.
Okay.
And that is referred to as an adolescent form of macular degeneration. So the lining of the cells behind the retina die off, and then light is let through. And obviously, the more light that's let through, the less I can see. So I have no central vision. So I'm looking directly at you right now. You think I have a really great eye contact. I actually can't see you at all.
I mean, I understood that you couldn't see me.
Right.
And I appreciate the fact that you are aware that people need eye contact and all that. I actually was just making a paper airplane.
Yep. See, I would have never noticed until I maybe saw it sail across the room if I was lucky.
So you can still see some like shadows and things like that.
I do. And what I can see is a little bit, it can vary a lot. So a secondary condition that I do have now is cataracts, which, and similar to anyone without significant visual issues, they can't do anything with it till it gets so bad. So lighting has become different. When I was younger, in middle school, high school, and even college, the darker the better. Obviously, light, if it came through, I was not able to see. So back then, I could actually see much better in the dark. My friends would not play hide and seek with me in the dark. And I tried to make the argument that they could see fine in the day, I could see at night, so it really was fair, but they didn't buy that. I also tried to convince my ophthalmologist that I should be able to get a night license, and he didn't buy that either.
No?
So, I tried. But now with the cataracts, I do find that actually sometimes having more light is a little bit more beneficial in things.
Okay.
But, from year to year, there's not significant changes. From what I could see 20 years ago is significantly different. One of the changes that happened like 2011, 2012-ish was my eyes stopped converging, which is as you walk towards things, it gradually gets closer to you.
Right.
Mine was no longer doing that. So this is where I did notice I would start to miss steps or curbs or walk into signs. The one that I find most comical was we were going into Toys R Us, when it was there in Cedar Rapids. And it was after the derecho that came through in 2011. And so they had some lighting issues and things, and I was walking in, and my youngest was only 2 at the time, and all of a sudden I was actually carrying him, and thankfully he didn't get injured, but he all of a sudden he goes, uh-oh, and before I could react, I walked right into a sign. Just marked my face a little. It was nothing injury, but the funny part about this is it was a handicap sign.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, there's irony in that. There really is. And yeah, so it just, I would send a friend a message, and she's like, did you run into a stop sign? I'm like, nope, even better. So that is actually when I started to look more into getting Marsala is kind of within that. And then over the next couple of years, maybe that wasn't 2011, maybe it was a little bit later, but looked into okay, I'm starting to miss steps. It's becoming a little bit more of an issue getting around. And because my vision gradually, after that initial stabilized, after the 9 months, it kind of stabilized, I never used a cane until I was going through the application process with Marsala. And I was strongly encouraged by someone who's a good friend of mine now. And she's like, if you're not using a cane, you don't necessarily need a dog. And I'm like, huh. So I got a cane. One of the best things I did in the sense of it became apparent then to other people that I couldn't see. Where before, if I happened to run into something, you get the looks like, pay attention to what you're doing type of a thing. And, they didn't know.
You literally just said, well, I just didn't see you.
I was more like the, oops, sorry, type of a thing. And stuff. And at that point, it was still kind of adjusting to the whole change in my eyes. And so I was like, sorry, But the cane I did find was helpful in that sense. But I'm very glad that my cane was short-lived and got Marsala shortly after that.
Yeah.
Well,
she's way more cute than a cane.
Well, she's way more cute, and there's a significant difference between a cane and a guide dog. A cane, you have to find the object before you can go around it.
Right.
And I always found myself still trying to use my eyes quite a bit when I was using my cane because I was trying not to hit people with my cane. Even though obviously they would understand if I got their heel, but trying to be nice. Where with Marsala, she just zips around things, and I don't care what I'm going around. For me, just get me around it, and so that's what she does. And yeah, parts of crowds, and yep, all good.
So, what was the hardest transition for you? Because I mean, in my opinion, this is just my thinking. I think that what would be hardest is the little things. Finding your toothbrush, knowing where your toothpaste was as opposed to the hemorrhoid ointment, and then really ruining your day.
Really, yeah. Those type of things, like, again, since it was kind of gradual, obviously I do have things typically in the same spot. Mm-hmm. And so, someone could come in and really mess with me if they want to move things around. I find for me, and it's still kind of some of the little things, like you said, no longer, and when I first lost my vision, I had enough that I could still read some things, but like just something simple, like if I need to go get a card, like a birthday card or a sympathy card, having to have someone there and read it. And obviously I have many supportive people in my life who are willing to help me with that. But it's just some of those little things like, okay, how long are we going to stand in the aisle and I'm going to have you read me cards? Obviously there can be those times of the frustration of not being able to drive where it's like, if I could just hop in the car and go. But
you can't drive?
Never. I know.
What?
I know. No one wants to give me a license.
I'll give you a license.
All right.
All right.
Excellent.
I'll give you mine.
Okay. We'll see how well that
I'm
goes.
not a very good driver, so.
But, there's also some advantages of not being able to drive. And, obviously with Marsala, I can walk around quite a bit and things. And, I'm never alone if I want to go, when I go shopping for the most part, if I want to go to Cedar Rapids and I don't have to talk to myself. I can usually with someone. So there's some advantages with it too, but.
Isn't that kind of a disadvantage though? Sometimes you have those big shopping trips and you're like, I don't want to talk to no one.
I'm a social enough person that I actually prefer to have someone to be with me. And I've got, there's certain types of shopping that do typically with certain people, and the people who are closest to me, sometimes we tend to arrange it anyways. Like, hey, I've got to go to Cedar Rapids. Is there anything you need? One of my best friends, she, sometimes like, hey, I'm running down. Is there anything you want me to grab for you while I'm there? So even if there's like one or two items that I need, and thankfully we also basically Vinton is pretty much self-supportive. So, I can
getting that way.
Yeah. So, for the most part, can pretty much walk to Vinton. The only disadvantage is that the west side of Vinton is not really accessible by walking. Tyson's, Dollar Fresh, not.
Well, not only that,
really,
but it'd be dangerous for you, I would think.
Yeah, I'm not really comfortable with
busy roads there.
I'm not really comfortable with trying to cross the highway anywhere.
Right.
So those do still require, getting a ride there. But walking downtown, walking to Fairway, if there's just a couple things I can throw in a backpack, I'll go to Fairway. And of course, everybody there is very nice. And what can I help you find? And so easily able to do some of that. But yeah, there are those couple of things that sometimes is a little bit frustrating. Back when I was 13, I think it's hard for me to think back to some of that because I do remember, that initial diagnosis of like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? But I also don't remember dwelling on that too long and basically just kind of deciding like, okay, there are still things I want to do. And I'm not going to let this stop me.
Such as?
I wanted to do elementary education, which I did get my teaching license. That was one of my majors. Different activities in high school, college, become a mom, work, all those type of things. And I've achieved all of that. There were some things, obviously, I did have to give up. It became unsafe to play softball or volleyball.
You don't say.
I know.
A fastball coming at your head that you can't see?
That I can't see, yes. Yeah. It doesn't really work so well. But that would be, one of the things that I probably miss with my boys is, we would play, obviously, but as they've gotten older, it's like, okay, yeah, you're throwing a baseball way too hard. There's no way I can do this with you now.
Right.
When you were younger, I could, it wasn't going to hurt so
If you
much,
would roll it to me.
Yes, and that's actually when we practice batting. They would typically roll it back to me, and then I would pitch it to them, and,
That's dangerous, though, too, because that ball comes back at you.
Well, it could be. Thankfully, we would typically use wiffle balls and that. And,
okay.
Now they're at the point where, they're more apt to do it with their friends than with me because they need a little bit more than what I can do. But, back at that point, it was still fine to do and stuff. So.
The good old wiffle ball.
Yep. Yeah. Which can be dangerous, though. We did have a wiffle ball break one of our windows.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
My oldest was just like bouncing it against the garage wall and stuff, and then it happened to catch the window, and it was just hit it just right. And
with a wiffle ball?
With a wiffle ball.
Was there a rock inside of it or something?
Nope.
Did you actually witness it?
I actually was if I recall, did I walk out right after? I don't remember, but I did hear it, and and was out there I think before the ball They came and told me. I don't remember, but yeah, it was a wiffle ball. It wasn't because I had just been out there and he didn't have time to switch the ball or anything. So yeah, but
That seems a little odd to me.
it happens. There's odd things that happen.
True.
Yeah.
That you can't control.
That
are
you
weird.
cannot control.
I remember putting a golf club through a window once by accident.
Yeah.
I went to swing and it came out my hand on my backswing, and
yes.
my grandmother was not happy.
Not happy about that? Those backswings you have to watch out for.
How often do you actually lose your golf club, though? I mean, you would think that's not something that would just happen.
No, but you think, I mean, people have, it happens a lot in movies, right?
Yeah, but that's movies. I mean.
Yeah, but it slips and hey.
Do you enjoy the movies?
I do enjoy movies. Yep. As my vision has gotten worse, there's obviously some things that I miss a little bit more. I'm not a technology person, very good, and so I have not really got connected with using the audio portion that they now have available. I have some friends who are legally blind or completely blind, and they use it all the time. And so the audio description, and I just need to get a little more familiar with using it to help. The Marvel movies, those things, when they have a very fast scene change, actions, I tend to miss some of that. But typically, I can get enough through what's being said that I can follow the movie. And my children are really good about, if I'm like, hey, they'll tell me or something like that. However, the only movie that was not good with, have you ever seen Shaun the Sheep?
I have seen. I've heard this story.
Yeah. So the audience has not, but my children.
Actually, we were at the same theater when you saw that because it was the Vinton Palace Theater,
Yep,
and I came by and said hi to you guys.
Yep. See, that was a very, I don't remember much else before and after the movie. I just remember the movie. For those of you who have either seen it or not seen it, took my kids. They were young enough. And, it starts off, the farmer's talking, and it's gerbil, it's Jarvish, whatever. And it's like, okay. And if you haven't seen the movie, there are no words.
It's a silent movie.
It is a silent movie. A silent movie, when you can't see it, is not very enjoyable. I literally was like, there are no words. Absolutely no words.
No, there was nothing.
Nothing. Nope.
I don't think anyone expected that either. I think that there's.
Yeah. I've forewarned people since then, but that was an entertaining.
At least with The Artist, which is a silent movie as well, there's like music playing in the background.
Okay.
The old timey.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, and I think I'll avoid it.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for you.
Right? No. Although with the audio description, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, but I don't remember how popular audio description was back with Shaun the Sheep. So.
Wow.
Yes, very long movie.
Well, I'm going to jump 3 minutes ahead because since we're talking about movies,
sure.
I have a prize for you. For coming on the show once I find it. Nope, that's not it.
Well, while you're searching, I will say, obviously, with Popcorn being a vice for Marsala, she's always excited to go to the movies as well.
Here, I'll let you hold that.
Excellent. I need to hold it a certain way. So
it doesn't matter.
See it?
The people, it's upside down. That's great.
There we go.
It's delightful. So, do you know who Kurt Warner is?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know they made a movie about his life?
The Underdog, correct?
Yeah, that's what you're
American
holding.
Yes.
Zachary Levi.
Is awesome.
Zachary Levi is becoming one of my favorite people. In fact, I don't want to ruin a surprise, but I reached out to him on Twitter and said, hey, would you send her a message because I'm giving her your movie.
Oh, that is so exciting.
So I'm hoping that eventually we'll get Zachary Levi in touch with you.
That would be so cool. I am very excited about this. I actually wanted to see this, and so did at least one of my children, and we never made it when it was out in the theater and here in Vinton.
No, that is the Blu-ray and DVD combo. So I don't know if you had a Blu-ray player.
Yes.
Okay, good.
But I also have one that's finicky and doesn't always like to play new Blu-rays, so the DVD will work great with that, depending on which TV I get banned to, so to speak, because of where my children are. So, yes, definitely. Might have to do a movie night tonight.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
No, thank you
to the sponsors.
Well, the sponsor was my wallet, but thank you to Zachary Levi for being a part of that, and for Kurt Warner allowing him to have his life told. Yes. I met Kurt Warner once, and it was not a good experience. I think he was just having a bad day. Or actually what happens is I'm very abrasive. and very socially awkward. I mean, I have borderline personality. I'm autistic. I have DID.
Sure.
I have a lot of things going against me when it comes to social climates. So maybe it was I rubbed him the wrong way, which I do to a lot of people.
Hey, we all can do that to different people.
Yeah, but I'm like sandpaper.
Well, then you just need to find that right piece of wood, and you're good.
Not touching that one, man. Not touching that one.
Yeah, no. just let that one go.
All right, so so you have a job.
I do.
What do you currently do?
I work part-time at Area Substance Abuse Council as a substance abuse counselor.
Okay. Specializing in.
Well, I work. I'm now. I know what you're going for there, which you want is youth, and
Yes.
for the last 8 years, we had a contract with the school, so I was primarily in the school.
Was that changed recently?
Yes, we no longer have that contract. So I'm with the. Technically, we're adult, but I do tend to I still work with youth. So I work with both youth and adults.
How did you get involved with the youth program?
Actually, and I first entered this field back in 2003 up in Mason City, and I worked for a place called Prairie Ridge. And when I was hired, the two populations I primarily worked with were youth and dual diagnosis populations, which are individuals who deal with both substance abuse as well as mental health issues. And then when I started at ASAC, I was primarily with adults. And when the contract with the school started, I was interested in it because I had not worked a lot with youth recently at that time. And it was a good fit. So I was able to get back into working with youth.
Nice. And you enjoy
Yes.
children because you were an elementary teacher.
Correct. So I went to Coe College, is where I got my undergraduate degrees, and one was in elementary education and the other was in psychology. And then I went on to the University of Northern Iowa to get my master's in clinical psychology. So there was always that
I'm
combination.
scared of you already. You're already psychoanalyzing me.
Nope, not at all.
Me a little bit.
Nope. I try not to do that, but
See, the key word there was try.
hey.
See, I even have like a therapist voice I could use and be like,
Right.
yes, I heard it in your voice that you said to try, but
The
we
try.
all knows that this really means you're
What
always
this actually
calculating.
means, yes.
It's as either you are
Right.
angry or you're in love with your mother. Either way.
Either way, whichever. But
That's my best Freud voice.
Okay, well, Freud has been widely discredited.
Well, all right, that's my best fake German Nazi
okay, there
therapist
you go.
voice.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Fair enough. But yeah, I enjoyed working with youth. I enjoy working with the adults as well. I really like the variety of both.
Okay.
Sometimes you get some similarities, that kind of common themes that will run with adults as well as that will run with youth, and so it's kind of nice
Like
to have
what?
that.
I mean, obviously, I don't want you to go into case study and all
Right,
that.
of course.
I don't want you to jeopardize your job, but I would like to.
And that's where I'm like, okay, what would be a good general answer there? Just some of the normal things that you're going to have with adolescents, parent relationships, typically the significant relationships as adults with, say, their spouse or their significant other, just that different mindset, between adults and youth. Adults, like some of the, many adults sometimes have legal issues, and so those can be kind of common depending on what's going on in terms of, like OWIs, where you sometimes it's more the possession charge. It's just kind of nice to have that variety a little bit, keep us on our toes, keep us up to date on what, is going on. And it's very helpful to actually work with both populations as well, because a lot of adults have kids, and obviously kids have parents, and
Sometimes.
Yeah, well, they have parents. Yes.
I lost one of mine to social abuse or substance abuse.
Yep.
Like, she was still there, but she wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, one of the things that with also working with adults is being able to reinforce to kids. It's like, okay, it's not that they don't love you. This is helping them sometimes understand that addiction. And with youth too, sometimes there's that ability. There were times I had the ability to work with someone who maybe is just experimenting and not really into significant issues yet. And like, okay, let's really look at this. And so there's definitely some benefits with both populations, and I do enjoy working with both populations.
Okay. I'm just fascinated by all of this. So I know that there is concern, especially in small town Iowa, where we live at, that the drugs have kind of gotten out of control a bit, especially in this little town. Would you agree with that or disagree with that statement?
I think that that's probably true across nationwide.
Okay.
I mean,
And
the reality is, especially as with other states legalizing marijuana, it increases accessibility when things become legalized. It decreases people's what they perceive, the perception of harm that it's done. It's kind of that like, oh, if it's legal, it's safe for me.
Are you saying there's harmful benefits to marijuana?
I'm saying that there are harmful outcomes to any substances: alcohol, marijuana, methamphetamine, cocaine.
What would you say is one of the harmful ones for marijuana?
Well,
Because that's the biggest complaint or argument I get from people who do that is it's safe, man. There's nothing bad's gonna happen. It's a weed. It's a plant.
Right, but the reality is that weed and plant is not the weed and plant that they're going to just pull up off of the side of the road. I mean, now it is being produced people grow marijuana. They manipulate it to have a stronger level of THC. It's not. A lot of times when people are talking like that, they're thinking back to maybe what it was in the 60s, and not saying that it wasn't harmful back then, but it's not the same. I mean, the THC level continues to increase in it. There is the addictive ability of those substances. You can compare it to any other substances. People result in legal issues with it. People have family issues because of their use. People have financial issues because of their use. That is across the board, regardless of whether you're talking alcohol, marijuana, methamphetamine, prescription meds, heroin. It doesn't matter the substance. It's those potential outcomes are there for any of it.
Okay. So there you go. So what you're really saying is if you're gonna smoke weed, go organic.
No. What I'm really saying is be aware that it has the same problems as every other substance, and the legalization is not the issue, so to speak, in the sense of, because I'll hear that complaint quite a bit. Well, if they just legalize it, it's not going to be a problem. Well, guess what? Alcohol is legal. Guess what? One of the number one substances people see for treatment is alcohol. Mm-hmm. It's accessible. It's that perception of harm is down, so.
Isn't it also a slippery slope though too? Because once, I know for me with addiction, you start here. Yep. And then that no longer works. Now you have to move to this, and then that doesn't work.
And that can definitely happen. Nowhere can you say for everyone that, alcohol, they're going to transition to marijuana. Marijuana is going to transition to, you don't know. Obviously, for some people, it does. For some people, they increase the amount that they're using. For some people, there are people who say marijuana were to become legal, they may use marijuana then because it is legal because they don't want to do something illegal, but then they might start pairing with alcohol. It's hard to say for sure. You can't say, but it's right now one of the things that goes along with the idea of marijuana being a gateway drug, which is I think what you're kind of referring to, using a term that they used 20 years ago. But the reality is like if it's illegal, then you can have the increased possibility of then being around other illegal substances, if you're around certain things and, you're more apt, then there might be a higher risk, but it's not that it's a definite, if you use this, you're going to use other things, because there are many people who don't. There are many people who they may, marijuana becomes their substance of choice and they never experiment with anything else. And the same as alcohol. And so
I remember when I was living in Austin, we were told that we weren't allowed to have the temporary tattoos because they were lacing them with LSD.
Oh.
Getting kids hooked early.
Okay.
That was kind of a...
Did you ever find out if that was true?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It was happening in the schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, that was one of my eye-opening experiences moving to Austin, because I went from, traveling around the world with Mom, living in Vinton's predominantly white.
Yep.
And then going down to Austin, Texas, where I was one of maybe 100 white kids in a school of 5,000.
Yep. Yeah.
That was a little
Definitely an eye-open experience.
Yeah, and it started off very terrifying because you don't know anyone, don't know how to relate to anyone.
Right.
Getting beat up because don't belong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Until I figured out what wrestling was all about.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know where to go from here. So what made you interested in helping people with substance abuse, or was this just an opportunity that just arose and you just jumped on it?
Actually, it was the connection to dual diagnosis issues. When I was in undergraduate at Co, I actually did an internship at Sedlacek Treatment Center and had some great individuals who were counselors there that I worked with and got to observe. And at the end of that, I was kind of like, oh, substance use really isn't my forte, you know. And then in graduate school, we did different practicums and clinical things. And I had two different practicums, if you will, at the Mental Health Institute in Independence. One was on a youth ward, and so even back then I was doing stuff with youth. And then the other was on the female ward. And I got to work with individuals with borderline personality disorder. Love that population.
Why is that?
It was challenging, and it was very interesting. I liked the challenge, and it was. I like the challenge. I mean, honestly.
Okay, so what makes that challenging?
So.
Let's delve into this a little bit more.
Okay, so individuals with borderline personality typically see things on extremes, and there's not much.
No, you don't say that.
Oh, yes. So there's that little bit of of course, now I can't even come up with a good example, but it's helping them find that middle ground. But then one of the things is not just helping them find that, but it's that keeping it there, because they might find it in one situation, but then to generalize that to another situation is initially very difficult. They almost feel it's impossible. But and so I really enjoyed working with that population, and it was a very eye-opening experience. Individuals with significant borderline personality disorder, also especially in the female population, attention-seeking behaviors tends to come into play, and these individuals, obviously, if they were institutionalized at that time, they were not able to be in society at that point in time. But the idea of where they could potentially swallow something, and things, and it was very challenging and very interesting. But then a lot of those individuals also impulse control is difficult, and so substance use typically is part of dual diagnosis issues as a result of that. And then after I got out of graduate school, the first job I had, I got to help co-facilitate a dual diagnosis group. And that was just I'm like, okay, I love that interaction, the challenge, the progress that was able to be made. And it was more just sometimes that light bulb going off where the person was like, oh, I can do this, or, oh, this is something I can do. And with just simple things. And that's where it really got me more connected into the substance use. And then, as I mentioned, I worked at Prairie Ridge and was working with the dual diagnosis issues. And that's actually where my enjoyment, so to speak, or love for working with individuals with substance use came from.
So we're going to back up a little bit here.
Sure.
You say attention-seeking behaviors. Mm-hmm. What is that defined as? What are we talking about?
So when we're talking more specifically with, obviously, this is with individuals with borderline personality disorder, and obviously this behavior can be seen in other things too, but it'd be a situation where a person would do something specifically to gain attention. Like when you're going through classes and stuff, you learn about the idea that these are individuals who may swallow like a hairbrush, or it could be simple as doing something that might, injure themselves. It just can be a variety of different things. That just be something that could gain that attention, and it's not always that they injure themselves by any means or do something that's damaging to them. It could be how they might present certain situations or something that portrays it in a way that the attention is going to go to them, as opposed to, someone else should be involved type of a thing.
Right.
Yep.
You ever heard the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
I have not.
Oh, if you have Hulu, it's worth a watch.
Okay.
It's done by Rachel Bloom. I call it Naughty Disney.
Okay.
Because it's a musical. It was done by CW, so there's nothing over the top.
Sure.
But the whole point of it was she was trying to bring awareness to borderline personality disorder because of what she lives with in her book.
Yep.
If you haven't bought Rachel Bloom's book, you should buy it. Well, I mean, you obviously wouldn't have done that, but you could buy her audiobook if she has one.
Right. Yeah, I'll have to look.
Speaking of audiobook, I want to tell you that I normally give my guest a copy of my book, but that would not benefit you. So I'm going to make an audiobook for you.
Oh, awesome.
I'm going to put it on YouTube, and anyone who wants to watch it, they can. Do you want it with different character voices, or do you just want my voice? Because I have multiple people who could speak.
You know what? I would say just do what you feel is what you feel.
No, this is your book.
Yeah, but I use Hoopla, which is it's connected to the Vinton Public Library, and so that's where I get my audiobooks. You get so many borrows per month, and that's what I do. And so I've listened to a variety of books, and sometimes there's different voices that do the different characters and things, and there's other times I've listened to voices that where the one person does the entire book and just maybe changes their intonation and inflection and things, and I enjoy both. So without knowing what the book all is, I would say
it's a story of my dating life. Well, it's called Cupid Hates Me. It used to be here in the library.
Okay.
Funny story about that. I actually have the copy I gave to the library through weird means.
Okay.
Amazon had it on sale for $10, and I was buying as many as I could. And one of those ended up being the Vinton Public Library one that I gave to them. Got sent back to me from Indiana.
All right.
I was a little weirded out by that one.
I bet you probably were. It's too bad you couldn't get your ex-girlfriends to play their own parts.
Oh boy, that would require me getting a hold of a lot of people, and most of them don't want to ever talk to me again.
Well, all right.
Maybe I should just find female actors to do their parts.
There you go.
Except for they don't really have a lot of parts, and these aren't exactly flattering.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you have any bad dating stories? Did you have any bad dates?
Thinking, no, not offhand that's sticking out. In terms of dating stories,
no one brought their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend on a date with you, or
no. But my ex-husband was my high school boyfriend, so I never had that whole.
You're one of those.
I was one
high school sweethearts and all that.
I was one of those. Yes.
Excuse me, while I throw up a little bit.
Feel free.
I just threw up my mouth a little bit. All right. So do you want the relaxing gift or the edible gift now?
Well, I've got the movie, which will go along with relaxation. So let's do that.
All right, relaxation.
And then that way, if it's the edible gift, I don't feel the need to open it and. Ooh.
There's the first part. Do you know what that is? You can open it. And smell it.
I was gonna say, I'm going to guess maybe something bubble bath.
It is.
Nice.
Dr. Teal's foaming bath relaxation with eucalyptus and mint.
Nice.
And then
a nice soft blanket.
I was torn between the Chanel one or that one. I don't know which way I went.
It's very soft.
Yeah.
And it'll be nice and warm. And as we discussed when we were talking about the temperature of the room, I tend to get cold very easily.
Oh yeah, this will keep you warm.
And yes, very nice.
So that is by Better Homes and Gardens. It's one of my favorite blankets.
Thank you.
They're a delight. So
I'm very excited, and I won't let my children steal that.
Oh, please don't. Oop.
They have a tendency. Oh, that's the microphone.
We moved the microphone.
All right.
Oh, wait. I forgot. There's another one. There's that. Guess who that's for?
I'm going to guess this is a blanket from Marsala.
It is the blanket from Marsala. I didn't want you to feel left out, Marsala. Oh,
and
big
as on
yawn.
cue, she yawns. Yes.
Yeah, she's like, I can't wait to get home and use it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure Marsala walked away with something.
Oh, very nice. Thank you. She will enjoy that.
She's the star of the show.
She is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree. Thank you.
No,
definitely use all of that.
Yeah, and then you
Yes.
still have a few more to go. So
Ooh,
in our
very
next
exciting.
break, we'll do that. So
All right.
so far we've advertised Better Homes and Garden, Dr.
Yep.
Teals. Thank you guys very much, for making products that I could find and be able to purchase and all of that.
Yes.
So you played softball and all of that. Do you
Yep.
enjoy the sports?
I do. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I do. So in high school, I was on Voyagers, which is the high school dance team.
Yeah, my niece danced for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then actually at I was on their dance team 2 of the 4 years, just because of other responsibilities and things going on. And I still enjoy playing the other sports and things. It's just obviously how I play is a little bit different. In terms of playing basketball with the boys, we might do more horse type things as opposed to, 2 versus 2 or
Right.
anything like that, because I'm not going to necessarily see the ball coming at me. 1 versus 1 I can do because I don't have to try to pass and, catch. But
Doesn't defending be a little hard?
it just depends. It's one of those things we do for fun and it's enjoyable. And, when they were younger, we did football, soccer in the backyard, a variety of things. The only things I had trouble with there is for a while where we played soccer, there was a couple of trees that were in the way. And there were a couple times I got a little close to that. But, it was always good fun and enjoy it. And there's still other activities like bowling I'll still do with the boys. And things. Well, I still do the other ones too. But
When you do the bowling, do you use the bumpers or do you
Nope.
you go straight gutters?
I do.
Yeah.
No, I don't bowl gutters.
No, I didn't say no. I meant like you use the open
straight
gutters,
yes.
not the
Well,
bumpers.
I do get gutters sometimes, but yes, no, I do the open gutters. So I actually bowled in high school as well. The bowling team back then was not what it is now. They've got a very strong program now. Back then, we always were kind of trying to get just enough people to try to go to state. But yeah, my average is obviously significantly less now than what it was back then, but that's more because of not practicing more so than anything. I've toyed around the idea of like when the boys are older and both graduated, maybe going back to maybe trying to do a bowling league. But we'll see what time comes.
How
at
old
that
are
point.
your boys?
So Gavin will turn 16 on Monday.
Oh my gosh. How does
yes.
that make you feel?
Sometimes I still feel like I'm 16. So,
all right. That's fair.
It's hard to believe how quickly time goes by.
Sure.
And Reagan is 13.
Right.
So
that's the high school I went to.
Okay, there you go.
In Austin, it was Reagan.
Yep.
One of the high schools because I got kicked out of a few.
Well,
I was not a very good kid.
yeah. Again, I'm still going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you learn from past mistakes. This is with my career, I need to always look at
The
that
positives.
possibility of the change, and it's there.
I mean, I'm better than I once was.
See, there you go.
I mean, I went to seminary
That's a really good song too.
by Toby Keith.
Yeah.
I don't like country.
Yeah.
Even though,
So
did you know?
you do have a fault.
Do you know that country music actually was Scottish in origin?
I am not good with origins when it comes to national origins and things. So no, I did not know that.
Yeah, I watched a documentary on PBS.
All right.
It all started from Scottish folk music.
There we go. I'm not a huge fan of like the twangy country, but
No?
no.
So like Conway Twitty is out for you.
Yeah, not a huge fan of that. But
Okay, so
more 90s, Garth Brooks, Trish Yearwood, Faith Hill, and to present day type.
Do you listen to a lot of praise and worship?
Not as much. Occasionally there's a few songs that and typically it's more if someone else finds that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple that I have that I really enjoy, but I couldn't say that there's any particular groups and those type of things. I primarily am country unless I go back into 90s.
See, now you have a fault. You're not perfect.
I know.
Country music.
I know that there's a lot of people who seem to think that, but
For me, it's just that country music and R&B have a lot of the same messages.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, calling girls by names they shouldn't be calling girls.
well, but see, I think that's not. Yes, there definitely are some of those.
I worked at Texas Roadhouse, and there were some songs I was like, why is this on here?
You also have to look at but the atmosphere and things like for country music for me, and a lot of them are more they're telling some type of a story with it, and it's not just she broke my heart, type of a thing. But there's some really good stories within some of those country music songs.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. One of the first albums I bought was Eddie Rabbitt's Greatest Hits. Do you remember Eddie Rabbit?
Nope.
I Love a Rainy Night.
Nope. No.
Oh, that's a good song.
Here's the other thing with me though. I don't always do very well with.
We have a ghost in the building.
I noticed that.
That literally, like, there's nothing over there that would have even caused a fall, and it fell.
And it fell.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I go back and forth. I went to Co, and we have a ghost that is known to live in Voorhees. It was a young lady who had died back during the influenza.
That's a very ironic building to have a ghost in.
Right? Isn't
Voorhees.
it? Exactly. Yep. I don't know what the current status is of her, but yeah, there were plenty of times where there were things that it was just like, yeah, I don't know. So I never saw her.
Did you ever hear her? Never footsteps or anything?
Never the footsteps. There were a couple of times that I was like, because like some of the things that she was known for was moving things around, kind of resetting alarm clock, just kind of some weird things like that. I have a friend who saw a couple of things that was like, yeah, no, there's no way that there was anything other than her standing there like moving the phone cord or just some random different things like that.
Right.
But yeah.
I live in a haunted house, so I totally believe in ghosts.
Yep.
Anytime something happens, I'm like, Nana, stop it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to wrap my head around, but yeah.
Oh, it's not hard to wrap your head around at 3 a.m. when you hear the stairs creak and there's no one there.
Yeah, I can. Yes, and thankfully I don't deal with that on a daily basis. So.
Well, how would you know anyway? Like, you'd be like, well, it could have been the kids. Just go back to bed.
Just go back to bed. Cats. Where are the cats at?
Do you have cats?
We do. We have 2 cats and a shark.
And a shark. Shark fish?
Yep. My Gavin has a pet shark. It's a bola shark. So it's freshwater shark.
How big is it?
It can get up to like a foot long. I really couldn't tell you how big it actually is at this point.
Well, obviously,
I can't really see it, but
I don't know if
when I do catch glimpses of it, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a few other animals that didn't survive so well.
So you have 2 cats, a dog, and a shark.
Yep.
I have 8 cats and a dog.
Yeah, the 2 is plenty for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love cats. Don't get me wrong, but as the adult now, with the one being responsible for the kitty litter, the majority of the time, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it works.
My kids are the part of the reason I have so many cats.
Yes,
but
of course. Yes.
Some of them are mine. I went off the deep end and I didn't handle it very well and became the crazy cat dude.
There you go.
Which is also why I'm single, because no one wants to date a dude with 8 cats. I got long hair. I'm kind of chubby. Don't have a lot of money. These are all things that women are kind of like,
maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that you have an ex-husband now.
I do.
And that was probably a very difficult thing, especially with everything else going on.
Sure.
Care to talk anything about that, or do you want to leave that alone?
I'll probably leave that one alone.
All right, that's fair. Moving right along.
I will say that I'm a person who believes, I have a very strong faith, and believes everything happens for a reason. And
where did that come from? Your strong faith?
My strong faith? I'm a member of Trinity Lutheran Church here in town, and yeah, just I mean, it's always been a part of my life. I would say it became more strong after I moved back into town and things. Well, even up in Mason City too. I would say, unfortunately, probably a typical college student where I didn't really attend church regularly when I was in college. But even at Co, I did participate in like their Co-Christian fellowship. But that was more how I faith was a part of my life at that point in time. But yeah, attend church, and I absolutely love my church and strong faith, and I feel that God knows better, and He has a reason for everything. And
what led you to Lutheranism?
I was born
and raised Lutheran.
Yep, I was born and raised Lutheran. I believe the teachings that are with it, and yeah, have no reason to.
Did you go to the little fundraiser they did last summer? The little food thing that they did? I don't remember what it was for.
I know our church did do. Are you talking about like the lunches that they did?
It was some sort of dinner that they were doing.
Yep.
Maybe for some missions, I think maybe.
Well, I know Trinity. They did some different lunches, which were to help just increase our property funds. For redoing different things around the property and the parsonage and stuff that needed to be redone. and I didn't always run over and grab something, but we do Lenten suppers right
Right.
before the Lenten services, and try to support those when able. And each like different things within the church will put those on, whether it be our TLC preschool, so
Do you know Carol Wood?
that name's not familiar.
No,
But
she was my aunt. She used to teach out there, teach the
Okay.
preschool
Okay.
for like 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
She's another one that exemplifies what Christianity should be.
Mm-hmm.
You could call her all kinds of names and she'll still say, I love you. Have a great day.
Yep. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yep.
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 You can say whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
I still love you.
Yep.
Yep. That's good. So
Yep.
you, in college, you didn't attend church like you wanted to or should have.
I should
and you
have.
didn't.
Yep.
I don't attend church the way I should either. Don't feel bad. I was in seminary and I don't attend church the way I should have.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go to chapel we had to have 45 chapels, I think, over the course of the semester. And, oh boy, if you didn't get that, you were in trouble.
Okay.
They'd yell at you.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, let's go to church on Sunday. I'm like, dude, I just went to church 5 days this week. I need
Which is not a bad thing.
I need a church break.
I sin every day, so it wouldn't be bad for me to be at church every day.
You don't sin. Don't lie.
Uh,
You are perfect.
No.
You're
no,
perfect.
No.
What do you- all right.
Thoughts, words, deeds. Trust me.
What do you think is your biggest downfall? I know what mine are. I can tell you those off the top of my head.
My biggest downfall.
Do you have any big vices? Anything that grips a hold of you and you're like, I gotta shake this?
I would say probably similar to a lot of people at times, anger with certain things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anger that's a dangerous one. Even Yoda would tell you that.
There's times where it's like, okay, and yeah, God, help me through this one, and yeah, praying works very helpful. The Serenity Prayer that obviously individuals who might be involved with AA or who are involved with AA, and I say the Serenity Prayer, there's actually a lot within that can, kind of a good way to recognize too, of recognizing what we do and don't have control over, and leaving it to God for the things we don't have control over, because we don't have control over more things than what we think we have control over. So, yeah, I do find myself praying quite a bit, and sometimes it's a very simple prayer of, God, help me through this.
I mean, yeah. Constant communication is important in any relationship, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is true.
Relationship is two people working towards the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's in any relationship, whether it's a therapist-client relationship,
Right.
friends,
True.
romantic, you and God. It's always two people trying to work towards the same goal.
Yep, that is true. Although sometimes when it comes to God, we also need to realize that He knows better than we do. And what we think is the goal, it doesn't end up being that's actually the best goal for us. So there's comes in that faith of...
I keep waiting to find out what my goal is supposed to be.
Yeah. Apparently, you're not supposed to know yet.
I'm 44, man. I'm running out of time.
There's been several times over the past few years where I've just had to remind myself it's not my timeline, it's God's timeline, and have the faith and trust in Him, and He sees it through.
Do you struggle with mortality? Do you worry about, like, I'm 40, however years old, time's running out? Does that ever occur to you, or no?
No, but I think that's where that's where my faith also comes in, and the reality is, I don't control when I'm going to leave this earth anyways. That's not my decision. But I'm also, I get into this, I go back and forth with a couple of my friends, and I'm 43, and sometimes I'll have friends be like, oh, we're old, we're 43. And I'm like, no, I'm not. We go back and forth. I'm like, we're older, but it's a common
Did you ever
joke
hear the Bon Jovi
with,
song about
which
that?
one?
It's called Getting Older, I think is what it's called.
See, I'm really bad with song titles. Kind of like I'm really bad with
man, I'll
actor and
send it to you.
actresses' names. That would be the best, because a lot of times I'll be like, no, I don't know that song until I hear it, and then it's like, oh yeah, I know that one. I do that with actors and actresses. I don't know many of their real names, but character names, yeah.
See, John Bon Jovi, his early stuff doesn't really impress me.
Okay.
Like it did when I was younger, but
Sure.
as he's gotten older and the more he starts talking about life and all that, the more I really appreciate John Bon Jovi. His newer stuff really hits me in the little heartstrings.
There you go.
Older is one little song. I'll have to send it to you. That's a good one.
All right. Sounds good to me.
So you like actors and actresses. Who are some of your favorites?
Characters. I am a avid Friends.
All right. Who's your favorite friend?
Oh, I gotta go Rachel and Chandler.
Yes.
How can you not, be excited about Chandler and
I like that little.
right? Yep.
How could I be?
And
more...
Rachel is just Rachel.
Yeah.
So, avid Friends. Love it. So this is one of them. You were talking earlier about having, and I said we all have our weird idiosyncrasy type things.
Mm-hmm.
So Friends, actually, the trivia game has a couple of incorrect answers.
Yeah.
Yep. So the number one.
You're one of those.
I'm one of those.
You're one of those.
Which is really comical because when I watch movies, I actually never look for like the mistakes that they make.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not what I do. But for Friends, I know enough of it, and I'm pretty certain that their math when they turn 30 is also off a little bit by a year of when they celebrated like Rachel's 30th birthday based on the age that they started at.
Wow, you're really into
Yes,
that.
I had a friend who we have in common informed me that most people in regards to numbers and math don't pay that close attention. So she's like 99% of people would never have
picked up on that.
Right. But yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the hard part, though, is when you're writing a show like that and you have, 10 different writers? Getting everyone on the same page.
There's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes. But the trivia game, however, I mean,
What are some of the wrong answers in the trivia game?
So the main one I go to is who proposed to who, Monica or Chandler?
Well, Chandler.
Yes.
Proposed.
Correct. There's a lot. Yep. In the trivia game, it actually says Monica.
Because she started to, and then he stopped her.
Well, she stopped herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's like, there's a reason why girls don't do this.
Right, and then she stands back up, then he does it. Yeah.
So actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually want, and a lot of my, because I'm a dating profile person,
Sure.
I always say that I'm a cross between Shrek and Chandler. I have the personality of Chandler and the short body like Shrek. And I have a talking donkey.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
At least you're not green.
Oh, I was for Halloween.
Well, you should have been for yesterday.
Why? Why yesterday?
St. Patty's Day?
Was it yesterday?
Wasn't that yesterday? It's the 15th, isn't it?
The
March
17th, friend.
Oh, okay. Well,
St.
then
Patty's Day is tomorrow.
Oh, see. I don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day, so obviously I was
You
off.
don't?
I don't. So I guess
Why?
be green tomorrow.
Like you don't eat corned beef and cabbage and all that?
Yeah, not a huge corned beef and cabbage.
Oh.
And I don't know, just not a day that I...
In Scotland and Ireland, it's not like we celebrate it here in America.
Yeah.
It's more like a family potluck where you get together and you celebrate your clans. And clans there mean something different than clans here do.
Of course.
And you get together and you have dinner and you sing songs and you play music and you dance and it's like this more. It's more like a family festival than it is like we celebrate here.
Maybe I could get the boys to sing songs with me.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I get eye rolls
some
on
Irish.
that.
Get some Irish. No,
I'm guessing that they would not go for that.
Really?
No. They would probably just roll their eyes at me and be like, okay.
No.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, I really, the times that I went to a actual St. Patty's Day party, I had a great time.
Okay.
Because it's just more like hanging out with your buddies and playing some live music and eating some food.
Yeah.
Which I like eating food.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps me alive. And
yes. And there's some very tasty dishes out there.
Speaking of tasty, here. I want to make you guess at these.
All right.
Here's the ones that I'm nervous about, but these are probably more for your kids anyway.
Nerd rope gummies?
They are.
Yes.
How did you know that? You have the berry in your hand and the rainbows in front of you.
Nice. When these first-ish came out, the boys wanted them. And we had to do quite a bit of searching to find them. But then when we finally found them, they were nice enough to share with me.
Yeah.
So I knew what they felt like.
They're addictive.
Yeah, I might not share.
Okay, you don't have to.
No, I have hiding places for
There's
candy that I
two
don't want
bags.
to share for my
You
children.
have another one there in front of you.
See,
So that
yes.
one's the rainbow, and
Okay.
the one you had was the very berry.
Okay, excellent.
So and then there's a third one. That one's just for you. I'll let you try and guess that one.
Okay, some sort of chocolate.
Chocolate,
I'm
very
gonna
good.
go Dove.
Dove, very good.
And
What is the chocolate filled with? Once you said this,
I'm going to go caramel.
No, it was peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Because you said
nice.
you love all things
Yes,
peanut butter.
I do.
And that's when I was like, Amy is my kind of friend.
Chocolate, right? Chocolate and peanut butter. How can you not? Although, when it comes to Reese's peanut butter cups,
Yeah,
the shapes are the best.
I agree.
Yep.
Have you tried the ones that have the pretzels in them?
I have not tried the pretzel
Ooh,
ones.
those are
I
good.
have tried the chip ones, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Those are a little different, yeah.
Yeah, I did not. I'm not a big food mixer, so I
No?
wasn't. No, so I was really a little apprehensive.
What kind of foods do you like? What do you enjoy eating?
I really enjoy most things other than spicy stuff. I'm not a spicy.
Not a spicy girl.
No. But I mean, I like the Chinese restaurant. I like the Mexican restaurant. Yeah, just different casseroles, barbecue. Italian pasta's always good.
Can you do an Italian accent?
No, I don't do accents.
You don't do any accents?
No,
You never want to be an actor or nothing like that?
No. I did do drama in high school, but that was, the extent of that. And I never was required to use any accents.
I want to play a game on TikTok
Okay.
where I either do an impression or let an identity out and have people guess which one's which.
Ah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That could be very entertaining.
That would be interesting, right? Like, is that an
Yes.
identity or is that a
Yeah.
voice?
Yes, definitely.
I've been toying with that for a bit. I'm very nervous to let my identities out.
I find it interesting because a lot of people who deal with the DID typically are not always they're not aware of
They
their
suffer dissociative amnesia.
Yeah.
I suffer that as well sometimes.
Sometimes, yep.
But there's also, so in my case, don't want to alarm you, but Wedge is not, that's who you're actually talking to.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So people are like, what? It's true. So in a lot of these cases, there's a collective brain and a lot of it gets shared, but not
Sure.
all of it.
Okay.
Like if you ask Steve later about this interview, he'll tell you he was there and he had
Sure.
a good time.
Yep.
But he probably won't remember what we talked about.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a little secret.
There's where that comes into play.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But then there's also like other ones that come out that sometimes you remember and sometimes you don't.
There you go. Okay. Well, then I do find that interesting because, like I said, most any case studies or anything that I ever came across, typically they did not remember.
There's four different types of disassociation. There's amnesia, and then the other three I don't remember off the top of my head. But
Sure.
the third one doesn't apply to us, but
Nope.
the other three do.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Usually the amnesia kicks in when it's a high stress situation or
Sure.
it's a situation where one of the identities just doesn't want to communicate.
To the other ones. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of times there's a lot of feelings expressed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
There you go. Now,
There you go. See.
now I made it all awkward and weird.
No, I'm very intrigued. I'm more like it's interesting that, like I said, most of my education was.
Well, if
focused
you
on
want to ask questions, this is your episode. You can ask questions.
No, I'm good.
I will answer questions.
No, I'm good. That was my main question because, like I said, most of my education, and I haven't obviously I have not done any recent research and things, but most of my education was talked about more of the amnesia, DID as opposed to anything else, and so that's what I was more familiar with. So
Yeah.
I was intrigued at the fact that you actually were aware of the different identities.
Yeah, no, there's several that we communicate together with, and then there's others that are on a very tight leash.
Sure.
There's a couple that have gotten away that have scared some people.
Sure.
No one's ever been injured, but
Yep.
there has been
Yep.
some scarings that have
Yep.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there for a long time, I thought I lived with a demon.
I
Tried to get it exorcised, and it didn't
Okay.
work.
Okay. Yeah. There would be a reason it didn't work. It was part of who you were.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now I still feel cursed because the ghost attacked whatever that was back there.
No, that's not
Do you believe in curses? Do you believe, like,
No.
biblically it's sound? There are curses in the Bible.
Yeah. I I think how a lot of people use it and refer to curses, I am going to go with no.
Really?
But yeah. So at this point, I'm going to go with no. But
I mean, just biblically, there's a lot of verses like, if you curse someone, I will, in my name, I will proceed with caution on that. And I can't quote the quite verse because I'm not the person
But see,
who
the
does
part that I struggle with that at this very moment is that I would need more of the context as opposed to just, like it's so natural for us in society to just like pull a Bible verse out and be like, oh, and okay, but is that what's the context within it?
Thank you.
And so,
thank you. Finally, someone else agrees. That is my biggest problem with, like, well, not my biggest, but one of my problems with Christianity is everyone pulls these Bible verses out whenever they want to use it. But it's like, wait a second, you're not using that in the way it was meant to be used. Like,
and that's where like my particular religion, with Missouri Synod Lutheran. I participate when I'm able in a Bible study as well. Actually, I do 2 of them, but it's been interesting at the different times when we've had certain topics because we'll find the supporting Bible verses that like, okay, this is how people have misused it. This is where it actually, and see the consistencies that are actually through the Bible as opposed to just, oh, let's use this one here to support this when that's not at all what it was.
Did you ever meet Jan when she was here?
Jan.
I can't pronounce her last name. It starts with a Z. She used to be the pastor at Stewart Memorial Methodist.
No.
She was really...
I don't think I ever did.
Really intellectual as far as all that was concerned.
Sure.
Like, she was... Man, I had some problems with her because of her personal lifestyle choices.
Sure.
But I was realizing I was being ultra judgmental when I shouldn't have been.
Sure.
And after I got through some of that, looking back, she was super intelligent and she actually cared about the congregation, cared about the community. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated her.
Sure.
So if you ever get a chance in Cedar Rapids and you run into her, I don't know if you will or not, but
right.
Well, she's super smart.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? We got...
What was there was something we started talking about earlier, and then I
sidetracked
got sidetracked. Well, either you sidetracked or I sidetracked. I'm not quite for sure which.
I'll take the blame. I have broad shoulders.
I have a tendency to go off on bunny trails, so I'm totally fine with it too. But
bunny trails?
Yeah.
Is that like a type of ice cream?
Well, it is, but
do you have a favorite type of ice cream?
Ooh, that becomes more dependent upon, are we talking like from the grocery store or, are we at a certain place? Because like if we're talking Dairy Queen, I've got to go with like a Heath Blizzard made in chocolate ice cream.
All right. You really like the chocolate.
I love the chocolate.
You love the chocolate.
Yep.
All right. So what's your
chocolate's probably my vice. That's what I should have said back when you asked about it. Yes, chocolate is my vice. If you're talking Cold Stone, I haven't been there in so long. I'm trying to remember what I would.
I know exactly. When you said Cold Stone, I know exactly what I'm ordering.
There were a couple that I go back and forth, and actually, surprisingly enough, one was not a chocolate. It was like the strawberry banana one. But then they also, I think that, there were a couple of chocolate ones that I like there.
They had one called the Mojito they took away from me. And I was mad at them. But they have the cheesecake. I get the cheesecake with the crushed almonds.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not always a huge fan of cheesecake. It just kind of depends. But, yeah, now if you're talking, ice cream from the store, then I'd have to say actually, Bunny Tracks, I guess is what it's technically called, is probably one of my favorites. I like that one.
Do you ever eat the Ben & Jerry's?
There are some. I don't remember which ones offhand.
My favorite ice cream is a Ben & Jerry's. I never thought in a million years I would say that.
Okay.
Although Target's favorite day monster cookie, that's pretty good too.
Okay.
Peanut butter base with oatmeal, and then it has like M&Ms in there.
Of course, yeah. Monster cookies are amazing.
Yeah.
But it is impossible to find a monster cookie recipe that does not make like 4 dozen or more.
That's why you got to do your math and shrink it down.
Yeah, I'm good at math, but for whatever reason, when it comes to recipes, I don't tend to shrink it down. I'll sometimes double the recipes depending on what I make, but I never shrink it down.
Is that because you like to give food away to people?
I don't know what it is. I really don't. There's certain things that I just haven't, like lasagna. I love lasagna.
I haven't had a lasagna.
My boys will eat it. They're not huge leftover lasagna fans. And so making, a 9x13 pan lasagna, lasts way too long for
Right.
everybody's. And so I've had, several friends be like, well, just make like an 8x8. And I'm like, but that throws my measurements off. Like, I don't know. Chili is another one. I cannot decrease my chili
Well,
recipe.
but chili you can freeze.
I know. Well, technically you could freeze lasagna too, but I'm also not a good freezer when it comes to those things. I've done a few and it's worked out
You
fine.
just put it in a bag and throw it in the freezer.
I know, but for whatever reason, that's just not in my repertoire of concepts. I don't know why, but
if you've never
I
had,
have done it with chili a little bit here recently, but
if you've never had the Netflix and chilled by Ben and Jerry's,
okay,
that's the one to go to.
Okay.
It's peanut butter base,
okay.
pretzels, and brownies.
Ooh.
So every now and then you get that bite of like ultra salty,
Okay.
and it has that sweetness with it. Oh yeah.
Yeah. See,
I have to go to a 12-step program for that one.
Yeah, sometimes that salt chocolate one is not always.
And
I
I'm
don't
telling-
always do the salty chocolate one, but yeah, no, definitely.
One day I'll have to.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
One day
'cause
when you're
the
at work, I'll
chocolate-
swing by and drop off those ice creams for you.
very
It's the
good.
least I can do for you. You've put up
Well,
with
you've
me
already-
for 2
no,
hours.
you've already done a lot with stuff.
No. I
Well,
like
let me
doing
ask-
nice things.
Let me ask you this: what is a question? A lot of times, especially with visual impairments, and I'm not a person who gets offended. So, but a lot of times people are like, "How do you like this, that, or the other thing?" Is there anything? And obviously, I'm speaking for myself, not necessarily, visually impaired.
Well, I know
population
that
per
we
se.
have a mutual friend who asked you one that was really. I was like, I don't know if I would ever have the guts to ask that, and I never thought I would ever want to know until it was one of those questions. Like once it pops up, you're like, now I kind of need to know.
How do you do that?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm pretty certain I do. I also told her to tell her nephew to close his eyes and see how that goes.
Do you want to tell them what the question was? Since now they're dying.
So the question is, when how do you know you're done wiping your butt?
Yeah.
After you've gone to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else. I mean, the toilet paper you can tell by feel. I mean, type of a thing. But close your eyes, see how it goes. Type of a thing. But...
And I appreciate that answer. No, like I couldn't.
You realize
imagine.
she's totally going to kill us, right?
We didn't mention her name.
Right, we didn't mention her name, but
No,
it's a
fine.
small town. So.
You know what? I'm not afraid of her.
Well, I'm not afraid of her.
Yeah, she can
But
try
she's
and
a very
kill
sweet,
me.
Very sweet person.
Her mom used to spy on me
Well, that's because you lived close to her.
until the
so-
neighbor got mad at my dog and put a fence between us, and now she can't see over the fence.
Right.
So in some ways, I'm kind of glad the fence got put up, and it was over something stupid, right?
Well, that's usually how that happens.
They were
a lot
both
of
out in the
times,
yard.
but-
The dog was barking at her. Dog
Yeah.
was in her yard.
Yeah.
And like not my neighbor's yard.
Right.
My dog, who's a female, was in our yard.
Sure.
She didn't cross the line
Yeah.
until I went over and had her sniff the lady, and then she
Mm-hmm.
decided she didn't like her. And
yeah.
so then the fence went up and
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
Her
Those
mom's a
things-
peach too.
Those things happen. Yes. Yeah. The whole family's very, very,
Yeah.
very, very wonderful people.
They have lovely teeth. That's what my brother and I say when we don't like someone. We're like, "Oh, you have lovely teeth."
Oh, okay.
You
Is
know-
that kind of like the Southern bless your heart?
Well, no,
That
it's
they-
like it's one of those things of if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything,
Don't
at,
say
all.
anything at
So
all.
we
Mhm.
just try and say something nice, and you
There you
just
go.
pick like some body part that you normally wouldn't compliment.
There
you
you
have
go.
lovely teeth.
All
or,
right.
You
All
know,
right. That could backfire on you if you've never seen the person smile and
doesn't matter,
There you
man.
go.
Doesn't matter. You have lovely teeth, and we're
Right?
moving on. Or if they don't have any teeth, I guess you could say your armpits are not smelly.
there you go.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
job
Yep.
on keeping
Yep.
yourself clean.
Right.
Yeah.
Good job on showering every day. And
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
Yeah. As far as the visual impairment, like, I don't know, like, what do you think do you ever plan on dating again, or is that going to be, how would that play into it? Like, how would that go?
It's I in terms of what my plans are, we'll see where life leads, and
All right.
God has that planned out for me, and I'll catch up when the time is
Because
right.
I could imagine being just a normal person dating's hard. I couldn't imagine trying to wade the waters with.
I guess for me, part of it though too is like it's part of who I am.
Right.
It always, for the majority of my life, it's part of who I am, and it's one of those things that, it's going to be something that if I get into a relationship, they're going to need to understand that the likelihood is I could potentially be completely blind at some point. Some of the things I can do now, I may not be able to do in X number of years. And that would have to be something that they're okay with and go from there. Obviously, they'd have to be okay with the fact of if we're going somewhere, I'm not going to really be helpful in driving them. And, thankfully we've got phones now, so they don't really need a map reader. So, that's
You saying
good.
you
But,
can't read a map?
well, I can read one if I can see it. It's just getting it to the point where I can see it that becomes a problem. I did learn those skills when I was younger, but yeah. So it's going to be things like that.
All right,
they're
I
just
have a
gonna
question I
to-
meant to ask you, and
Yeah.
it just popped in my head.
Yep. Should I be concerned? We're
No,
good? Okay.
absolutely not. No. Do you think it would be? Is it easier for you to have seen the world first and then missing out on it, or would you have rather been blind from the beginning and not known what some of these things were?
Well, I'm going to correct you a little bit in the sense of I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
Okay.
I mean, I obviously there are things that I don't see. When I'm watching my kids do activities, there are things that sometimes I have to ask, okay, what just happened?
Well,
Type
I
of
was
a thing,
more. I was
but,
more referring to like, you know what the color green is,
right,
where
right,
someone
but,
who's
right. No, but I'm getting but in terms of like because people do sometimes think, oh, you're missing everything, and it's like, yeah, I don't really feel like I'm missing out. If I was, secluded and being like, oh, I'm not going to do anything, then I'd be missing out on life. But it's just a different perspective, and there are actually sometimes where, like thinking with the kids' activities, my youngest does baseball, and there are times where I'm talking to friends and I know the score and can tell them what happened, and stuff. But but I do appreciate the fact that I was able to see beforehand,
Right.
because it does give me a context. And I think there can be some advantages and disadvantages with that, in the sense of like there are times where it's like, oh, I used to be able to see that, but and it's not so much anymore. It's more of a reminiscing of like, oh, I used to be able to see that. Can't anymore. It is what it is. But it does help, having the idea of what colors did look like and things. And, growing up in the same town that I live, I know the layout of the town. And
Right.
so that is very helpful in getting around. And with my eyes having had that gradual progression, I was actually able to adapt to those changes as well, compared to just going from zero to nothing right away. Like in reading traffic, I was able to learn how to read traffic as my eyes gradually got worse compared otherwise. There, I do think that had I lost my vision after I'd had a driver's license, I feel like that maybe would have been a lot more difficult, because I would have then had that independence taken away.
Loss of freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I never had that ability to just be like, oh, I'm going to hop in the car and go here or there without kind of planning ahead. But see, and then that's where the flip side comes in. Like I am able to plan ahead of those things and think about like, okay, nope, I need to have this here and this in place. And I think honestly that's also helped my kids being very flexible when they were younger and getting picked up from school. If hey, we're planning on this person picking them up and then all of a sudden somebody else showed up, they were okay with that because okay, somebody was there, like so it helped them learn to be flexible with those type of things too. I generally kind of go with the theory, I can't control what happens to me or what my eyes do, but I can control how I react to it.
Right.
And that's really where, like, yeah, I could choose to just be negative and just have a horrible outlook and, oh, why this, why that? And I don't. I have a great life and I enjoy it. And okay, yeah, I might not drive myself somewhere, but I have driven
It's
before.
not all it's cracked up to be.
Right? It's okay. Like I'm good with
I mean,
that.
you're in really great shape. Look at it that way.
Right? With walking. Yeah.
Could be flown over the Super Bowls in a blimp. I mean, that's the way it works because I don't walk as much as you do.
But yeah, so there's just it's very much that of like, okay, what can I control? What can't I control? And I can definitely control my outlook and how I'm going to address things. And I feel like there are a lot worse things that a person has to deal with than not having perfect vision.
That's an amazing outlook.
So,
It's great. I'd say the same thing every day. Like, if this is the worst thing that happens, man,
right?
this is not if this is the worst thing that happens, we're doing all right today.
Right? Yes.
If you survived whatever it was that's put in front of you, you're still doing all right.
Yep.
There's over 800 billion other people who would love to be in your spot right now, and they're underground. So.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah. Positivity is the key.
And that I think, and also recognizing what we do and don't have control over. I mean, a lot of times we become more anxious about things that, quite frankly, we don't have the control over it. But that is not always a easy concept either. And there's still times I get anxious about other things, but.
Like what? What do you get anxious about?
Oh, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
So, that just goes with the territory sometimes.
Worrying about your kids and things.
Of course. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that'd be about probably the biggest one, and
So you're a delight. You should know that you're a very delightful person.
Well,
we've accomplished our hour and a half goal.
Excellent.
Did it feel like it was an hour and a half?
Not even close.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Nope.
So you're welcome to come back anytime you want.
Wonderful.
Have a conversation. So you haven't watched the whole episode.
I have not.
So you don't know that how we close out the show.
I have no idea.
Is we do our moment of gratitude.
Okay.
You have a chance to say thank you to someone you actually know and a celebrity. So you do two of them, one to a celebrity and one to someone you actually know.
Oh, but I have to choose just one.
No, you can pick as many as you want. This is your show, man.
Well, so we'll be here another hour and a half.
Hey, I will listen to you be grateful for an hour and a half if you want.
Okay, well, since I said, I'm an avid Friends.
Yeah.
So I probably would definitely have to, thank the cast and crew of Friends and, for all the hours of enjoyment that I've gotten from watching those episodes and, talking about them and sharing them with others. That was kind of a thing in college. Thursday night TV, must-see TV, and Friends was always part of that. So good bonding experience with Friends.
That actually was, in my opinion, the second greatest television show ever made.
Second greatest. What's the first greatest?
Modern Family.
I never watched it.
Never?
No. My second favorite show would be Bones.
Bones? Mm-hmm. Why?
I love that show. I love the characters.
Because you like David Berenz's voice, isn't it?
No, I love the characters. I thought they did a great job with the characters and that little bit of mystery that was in there. And yeah, I just enjoyed it. Plus, I think there were probably some facts that I, assuming that they were accurate facts, I probably learned. But
Modern Family is one of those shows that was perfectly cast. Like any person that was on that show, I couldn't imagine anyone else playing those roles.
Sure.
It also taught me, though, about being able to accept people that you don't agree with. And there's a lot of life lessons that come out of it. Some of the subject matter is hard to swallow sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's part of our life, right?
Right.
Love, especially like being a former pastoral student. One of my professors asked me, what's the greatest gift a pastor has to his congregation? And no one had an answer. And I said, well, it's love. You have to love. And if you can't love someone, then your mission's lost.
Sure.
Because you're just, so that was one of the things. And then that's how this whole came to being, is trying to solve the hate. Trying to get people to say, you know what? I don't have to like what you do. I don't have to agree with you.
Right.
But I can still care about you.
Well, and I think, isn't that one of the issues with our society is the words tolerance and judgment have become almost interchangeable, where tolerance and acceptance, but that idea that I may disagree with this and people automatically jump on this, oh, well, you're intolerant and you're judgmental.
Yes.
And it's no, we can disagree about things and
all the time
still, accept people and as a person and not be judgmental. But unfortunately, our society's kind of gotten away from that a little bit. But
well, I mean, we've lost the fact that we can still like each other and see the world differently.
Yes.
And we don't always have to agree.
Right.
All right, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you remember that we walked together to go vote? Do you remember that?
Ooh.
Or did you even know who you were talking to that whole time you were walking?
Can you give me the context of which year it was?
I believe it was the.
Or which?
Hang on, I'm trying to remember because I was walking to. I want to say it was Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
I want to say that was the right one.
Okay.
But I remember I saw you walking and I ran over to you and I was like, Amy, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm going to go vote. And I was like, I am too. Can I walk with you? And you're like,
right.
Okay.
See, I'm trying to remember back. Okay, so going back to that year, trying to remember where I was walking from.
I don't know, but I caught up to you right around the middle school.
Okay. So probably, so that would have been a Tuesday. I was probably walking from Tilford. I probably got done volunteering and was heading that way to vote on my way.
Possibly.
So, yeah. Yep.
But I caught up to you and we walked the last 2 blocks together.
Yep.
So,
okay.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Nope.
But this year, did you vote for either the Trump or the Biden person?
I did. Yep. I voted.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm not going to ask you who. I'm just going to tell you who I voted for.
Okay.
And it's going to be different. I promise you.
Sure.
So I feel like us as Americans, we missed a great opportunity to have the greatest presidential duo in history with the greatest presidential tagline. And so I wrote my vote in.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I'm feeling like you went Trump Biden.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. What'd you do?
I went The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
Because first of all, do you think anyone's going to press the button with The Rock being the president? That guy is massive, right? Like he's huge. And if you notice, all of his movies, he doesn't do any sex scenes. He barely kisses his fellow co-stars.
Okay. All right.
So he's got some morals behind him.
Okay.
He's an upstanding citizen. He seems to be very genuine and care about people.
Okay.
So I was like, this is the kind of person I could get behind.
Sure.
And if you know anything, did you ever follow professional wrestling back in the day?
No.
Oh, well, his big line was, do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Okay.
So you could change it to, do you smell what America's cooking?
Sure.
Yeah.
All
and then
right.
you have Stone Cold Steve Austin behind him, the Texas rattlesnake, and that guy's crazy too.
Okay.
I can actually do his voice. And it's not an
Rattlesnake.
identity.
Wait. Okay. Was he the one that played Jake the Snake?
No, that's Jake
Okay.
the Snake Roberts.
Okay, yeah.
No.
I really think that's where one of my fears of snakes came from.
You're afraid of snakes?
Oh, I am petrified of snakes. I have a phobia of snakes.
Me too. Don't feel bad.
Nope. No, actually in graduate school, I did a paper on systematic desensitization.
Okay. What is that?
I was gonna say, do you know what that is? So basically, it's one of the two, back at that time, one of the two main ways that people would help cure phobias. And so this particular one, you work with people, learn coping strategies, calming strategies, and things, and then you make a list basically of different things that are fearful in regards to whatever your phobia is, kind of, and then you prioritize it like, okay, this is the least scary for me. So like maybe looking at snakes in a book. And then this would be second, seeing snakes in a movie, the film Craft. Yeah. Remember that scene with the snakes in the glass?
I never saw The Craft.
Oh, okay. Well,
or if I did,
there's a
I was
scene
really
where
young.
it's a glass ceiling, and we were in high school, and snakes were pouring down, and
So Indiana Jones.
So, anyways, yep. I think that I'm also wondering I'm thinking Jake the Snake, Indiana Jones, and one of the scenes from Star Wars. That is where my fear of snakes come from.
Star Wars?
Yes. Okay. So hold on. Let me go back to systematic, and then
All
I'll
right.
come back to it.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So systematic desensitization. So then you go in order. So the least fearful, and so it's like using your coping skills and making it through that, and then you go to the next particular one that was most fearful and using the coping skills to get to that. So as I wrote this paper, I did my own case study on myself. So I got to where I could look at snake pictures in the book. There were still a couple that creeped me out. And then I got to where I actually could watch the snake scene in the movie The Craft. And then I stopped messing with it. And when my children got to be old enough and realized I didn't like snakes, every single snake book from the public library and the school library came home. So that helped with that. But so the scene of Star Wars, it's in the original first episode. So now episode 4 movie.
All right.
And it's when they're in the garbage and they're being compacted.
Oh,
and there's some sort of creature.
That's not a snake, though.
No, I know it's not a snake, but it's snake-like.
But there is a snake. There is a snake in Empire Strikes Back when he goes to Dagobah. It's in the swamp with Yoda.
Oh, I don't know if I don't remember seeing that one.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. Yeah. No. Petrified of snakes, and I hate birds.
Are you a big Star Wars fan?
I, I am. However, I like the episode 4, 5, and 6, the original 1, 2,
Yeah.
and 3. I'm not a huge fan of the prequels, and the new ones I enjoyed, but
I hated the new ones.
But if I'm gonna pick an episode, it will be one of the original first 3.
So now it's kind of widely known that the prequels were not great. They were okay. They weren't great.
But I think that's a generational thing. You talk to the kids didn't, and they love the prequels.
No.
A lot of kids I know will be like, oh, if they're gonna pick one, they go with 1, 2, or 3.
I'm terrified to say anything bad about episode 1 though, because Liam Neeson's in that, and everyone knows he's very tough. I'm very terrified of Liam Neeson.
Well, you can still be terrified of him and not.
Although I thought he was one of the bright spots in that movie.
I was gonna say, but again, it can go back to that. I enjoy you as an actor, but I didn't like the movie.
And Ewan McGregor was in the last 2.
Okay.
And he played Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
He was great.
Sure.
I loved him in that.
Sure.
And actually, his uncle was in the first Star Wars movie.
Okay.
As Wedge Antilles.
See, did not know this.
See, I'm helping broaden your education.
Right.
I'm full of random information.
Hey, random information is always.
You're scared of birds.
No. I am not scared of birds. I do not like birds.
You don't like birds.
I do not like birds.
One of my favorite animals is the parrot. Just because my son gave me a parrot my first present from him was a parrot.
Sure.
Parrots and rhinos are big in my house.
Okay. There are a handful of birds that I will say I like. When I was in Hawaii, we got to see some peacocks up close, and I did enjoy that. And there were actually these 2 birds that we got to hold that were very cool. But other than that, no, I hate birds.
It was the Niabi Zoo in Illinois.
Okay.
There's a room where you walk in.
Sure.
And all the birds will land on you.
Yeah.
And that was really they're just tiny little, I don't know why I just did.
Right.
I hold my fingers up to show you how big they were.
They're
just tiny little
things.
They are. They're maybe 3 inches tall. They're little green birds, but they jump on you and then they eat out of your hand and stuff.
Yeah, no.
That's adorable.
Yeah, you know how aviaries have those big nets that keep the birds in?
Yeah.
I would like to have one that could keep them out of my yard.
Okay, good luck with that.
I know, it's not going to happen, but...
I mean, if you got rich enough, maybe.
Maybe, but...
There'd be no... That's one thing about Benton, there's just not a lot of snakes.
So my theory is if I don't see them, they don't exist.
Oh, well.
So I know that they are there in my yard somewhere.
No, I've not seen a snake in my yard ever.
No, well, I am aware that they are there, but if I don't
They're
actually
by the
see
creek.
them, then I can believe that they're not
By
there.
the creek, there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
but actually in town, I don't see a lot.
Yeah.
I did see one over by the movie theater once, and it scared the living shenanigans out of me.
Yeah.
I may have soiled myself that day.
Yeah, snakes are creepy.
Yeah.
They really, really are. Yeah. They're but yeah, no. So petrified of snakes, but hate birds. There's a big difference.
Okay, so you just don't like them.
I don't. Nope.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I can't see the colors, and I just find their calls to be annoying, just loud and obnoxious, especially at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Do you hear a lot of owls?
Owls I think are kind of cool.
Okay.
But I mean, in the sense like an owl call does not bother me when I'm out at night, but the birds in the
I used to live over on 4th Street, way at the very end.
Okay.
And there used to be an owl that lived in the tree that every night would hoot and it would scare me. But now I don't.
Sure.
It doesn't bother me.
Sure.
But when I was driving home one night, not to be that guy, but I was driving home one night and I saw this little child in the middle of the road and I was like, this is 4 in the morning. What's a child doing? It was an owl.
Oh.
Those things are so tall.
Wow.
I didn't realize how big they were until I saw one in person. He had a little bunny in his arm and I was like, oh, poor bunny. I feel bad for you. And I wanted to save the bunny. It was already dead.
Yeah. It's okay. We're probably hundreds more.
I know, but I felt bad for that one that was being eaten in front of me. Or not being eaten. He was being strangled or killed or whatever.
Yeah.
He was going to go take him and eat him later. But the owl flew away and left the bunny behind.
Sure.
I'm sure it came back for it.
Sure. I remember once, and it was at a point where I just could see out of the peripheral a hawk, and I could see something dangling, and obviously the person I was with, I'm like, well, and they had a snake, and I was like, yes, one less snake.
One less snake in the
Sweet.
world.
Go.
That's fine.
Get rid of that for me. But yeah, it's actually, so with my vision, obviously my children have grown up with it, but it's comical because there are times where they'll do something and they're out of the corner of my eye, and I'll catch them and I'll be like, don't do that. And then they still will be like, you saw that? I'm like, yes, I did.
Do you enjoy the teenage angst that your 16-year-old has?
So, this has been my theory since he was born. There are pros and cons to every single age.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just kind of always focused on the pros and just dealt with what the cons are for that age. Because otherwise I feel like you wish your child's life away. When they're babies, it's that, oh, I can't wait till they can do this themselves.
Yeah.
I can't wait till they can do this. Oh, I can't wait till they're in school. I can't wait. And then they do all those things. And then it's like, oh, I wish they were well, yeah, because you didn't enjoy it. Like when they were that age. So that's my theory is whatever the cons are, I'll deal with them. But I focus on the personality that you get to see and them becoming independent.
Right.
And yes, obviously sometimes that independence results in other things, but it's just but no, I truly enjoy each age that they have been in. And
my son's now almost 16,
mm-hmm.
my youngest one.
Yep.
And I miss 10-year-old him because he was always like, I call him on the phone and he's like,
sure,
Dad, I'm so happy. I'm like, oh, why are you calling me? This is so great. I just blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yes, I love this. Now I call him and he's like, what do you want? I'm like,
right?
Are you Sylvester Stallone all of a sudden? Like, what is this about? Hey, yo, why are you calling me, Dad? It's just like, then like he doesn't hang up properly. It's like if you stop talking for half a second, you hear the phone click, and you're like, did you just hang up on me?
Well, once they're done talking, that there's no such thing as it's actually comical. Gavin tends to be more like that, like, okay, I'm done, and doesn't always close with, yep, bye. With me, now I've heard him on the phone, obviously with other people, grandparents and things, and he does well with that. So, that's, I think, part of that mom thing. Reagan, on the other hand, usually does say bye, so it's just a...
Reagan's a little younger, though, right?
He is. He's 13, yep.
Well, so, I mean, there's still time.
Right. But, I try to think back, though, and I think it's kind of, for the most part, kind of always been that way.
Okay.
Just different personalities, and it's not bad. It's who each one of them is, and, yeah. And there's times I just laugh.
Is your oldest dating yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How does that make you feel?
Good. Yeah, his girlfriend is a very sweet girl. I love her to death. She comes over to the house sometimes when schedules allow, and I enjoy, and we enjoy, quote unquote, tormenting, Gavin at times too. And she'll come and we'll be chit chatting and things, and it'll be like, "Do you want us to stop talking?" And he'll kind of smirk and be like, So, yeah.
Jacob has had the same girlfriend now for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's in high school.
Yeah.
So they met in middle school.
So in using your words, he's going to be one of the.
He's
could potentially one of those.
No, there's not. He's gonna be one of those. They really adore each other.
Yeah. Yep.
In fact, he runs cross country, and this is a moment I'll never forget as long as I live. She was standing there talking to his mom and I, because she's married to someone else.
Right. Right.
So she's like,
coming over to say hi.
Yeah, hi Marsala. Oh, she came right to me. Hey, how are you, friend? Oh, yeah, you almost made it on the camera. You might be.
Almost.
Yeah, you're adorable.
Yes.
But she is like, looks at him and she turns back to me and Amanda and she goes, "Can you hold my bags?" And we're like, "Yeah." She hands us our bags and she takes off running after. "Jacob, you can run faster than that. Get your butt moving." I was like, oh my gosh, I adore you. This is awesome. The best moment ever. This is great. Hi.
That is awesome.
This is actually really nice. This is what I've been waiting for all day, Marsala.
Right.
You just came over and was like, I just need some attention.
Yeah.
I got tired of laying there.
Yeah.
All right. So your moment of gratitude for someone you actually know or peoples that you actually know.
Yeah, that list has to extend to include multiple people.
All right.
I mean, obviously my children, they are my life. I mean, I definitely would not be who I am today and things if they were not in my life by any means. And, along the same lines of that, my parents, obviously, my brother, despite the fact that I always say he was a meaner older brother, he was a good older brother. He really was.
I think all young siblings say that.
Okay. He tied me to a slide with one of his friends once. So
Okay.
I can say he was a mean older brother. They thought it was really funny. I laughed when Mom got home.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You got the last laugh on that one.
Right. My dad really was not very helpful because he thought it was funny too. So, but in that particular situation, but no, he was still, one of those older brothers of, he could pick on me and do whatever, but, still productive and those things. And then my family and my friends, I mean, extremely supportive, and just people to enjoy having conversations with, just enjoy doing different things with. So not just the idea of like, oh yeah, they help me go to the grocery store, this, that, or the other thing. Just truly enrich my life. So I'm very, very blessed with the people I have in my life.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, you could ultimately say the gratitude really goes to God because He has blessed me with those people. So He could kind of go both in that category of people, someone I know, so to speak, and as well as not know, so to speak. So.
Yeah, you're just soaking this up. You're nuts.
Yeah, she's like, yep, I need attention.
Yeah.
She is very good about knowing when she is. The thing with her personality is that she is one, she still has her harness on, which I have some friends who don't allow their guide dogs to be petted when they have their harness on.
Right.
But her personality is very much that she could be sitting in the middle of a circle and getting lots of love and attention. And as soon as I, grab the handle and connect it and go to work, she can hop up and work immediately without any issues.
She's a good girl.
She's very, very good. And, so obviously I would also then, in addition with the gratitude portion is to Guide Dogs for the Blind.
Yeah.
I mean, having Marcella in my life has made a huge difference in so many ways. And
every time I hear her name, I get hungry for Italian food.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I want some chicken
I
masala.
can guarantee that somewhere, either currently in the puppy raising stage or an active guide or maybe just recently retired, I'm sure that there's a guide dog whose name is Steve. I mean, they have a very interesting. It's just amazing the process that they use with naming the dogs as well. Each litter has an initial, so all of Marcella's litter mates are M's.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think, let's see, there was Moira, who was actually in our class together, and Muesli, Mandarin, I believe, was also one of them.
What do you think the odds are there's a wedge?
Oh, I'm guessing there probably is. I mean, because
I'd have
they
to meet this dog.
One of the dogs that I was in class with, his name was Joker. My children were a little disappointed I didn't get Joker initially until, of course, they met Marcella, and then it was all.
Is
good.
that because you're all big Batman fans?
Well, they were 6 and 9 when I got Marcella, so the idea of Batman and any superhero.
Do you enjoy
thing.
Batman?
I tend to be more Marvel than the DC.
Okay.
But I still my favorite, the Batman though, goes back to, what was it, 1988, the original.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing about Batman is that it's hard to get both aspects of the character right.
Of course.
Because you have Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
And you have Batman.
Right.
I think Christopher Nolan came the closest.
Sure.
Because Bruce Wayne was being tested by his friends like Alfred and Rachel and Harvey. There was people on the outside. I know. Thank you. I've never gotten a Marcella kiss before. That's delightful. So in that sense, and then, Christian Bale is a fantastic actor. Mm-hmm. But the Joker iteration that Heath Ledger came up with compared to Jack Nicholson is night and day.
Sure.
Heath Ledger knocked out of the ballpark. In fact, I think The Dark Knight is the best superhero movie ever made.
See, I've never watched any of the Dark Knight ones.
Oh, you got to. How have you not seen these?
I think partially because it was that darkness part of it, and I kind of went more towards the other ones.
So you like the professional wrestling superhero movies?
Maybe
the Marvel movies.
Yeah, the Marvel movies.
They're
I love the
little
Marvels.
fluffy.
Yep.
I know. I love you so much. You're so great.
She is a very.
I stopped touching her, and she's
she was not done being petted.
I know.
No,
I know, because I stopped touching her, and then I felt a cold nose in my hand.
Yes, yeah, she is very good about letting you know when she does and doesn't want to be, or when she is done being petted, I should say, because, she knows when she's healed. She knows when she can get petted, and
Yeah.
Like I said, there are some who don't, but that's part of knowing your dog's personality and
Yeah.
things. So it's always, I always tell people it's always good to ask because you never really know.
I've seen you several times, and I've hardly ever touched Marsala
Right.
because you're usually doing something, and I was
Right.
like,
Yep.
no, I'm not going to
Yep.
do that. But so this is this is
And
delightful. She's
I,
got kind of coarse hair. It's a little rougher on her shoulders.
yeah, you probably need a
It's not.
brusher.
No.
Yeah.
It's the texture of her hair.
Oh,
It's a
sure.
little coarse,
Um,
kind of like horse hair in some ways.
but yeah, I'm a person, if I have someone who, let's say she's actively guiding me, which is the time that I don't want anyone to interact with her. Typically, if someone happens to, I just heal her as quick as I can. And I always look at it as someone doesn't understand.
Right.
It's not that they're trying to intentionally do something
Or
or
harm
create
you,
issues or
yeah.
harm issues. Yeah, it's they don't understand. And depending on where I am, if I'm in a hurry and can't really educate the person, then I don't. I just heal her and then go again. And otherwise, if I have the opportunity to educate them on that, then I do. But yeah, I just always look at it as okay, they don't get it. I don't think anyone's out there to intentionally create any issues and things. And she very much knows when she's working and when she can be petted. So as soon as I heal her in a store, she will immediately find the closest person that she can to make eye contact with and be
She'd be like,
you
by
can
the
pet me
way,
now.
I need a scratch.
I'm right here. Yeah. So one of the things at Guide Dogs for the Blind is they have numerous volunteers that help with different things throughout. And one of the things that they do is, so the puppies are on campus for the first 8 weeks of their life. And all of the puppies are born on the San Rafael campus. And they will have volunteers come in and basically just play with the puppies to get them socialized to people in different textures. And I'm like,
I will volunteer
wouldn't
for
that be the greatest?
I will
ever?
volunteer right
You
now.
can go and just play with the puppies.
Play with the puppies
Yep.
for weeks on end.
Yep.
Please don't make me do that. Oh no. That's terrifying.
Yeah, right. And having them just walk across different services and all these things, and just I'm like, oh my gosh, that would just be awesome. Play with puppies all day long.
That's the worst.
It would be. Yep.
All right. So my gratitude for my celebrities today. I was trying to think of a good one today. I wanted to say Freddie Coleman. I'll save him for Saturday. Zachary Levi. I have to say that he is becoming the next guy who's just going to do a lot of family films that mean something.
Yep.
His next one's called The Unbreakable Child, I believe is what it's called.
Okay.
And it's about a dad who's raising a kid who has some mental challenges.
Sure.
And I'm very excited. I'm going to cry. I already know it. I'm going to cry at this movie.
Yep.
So I really appreciate what Zachary Levi, he did Shazam. Did you see Shazam?
I have not seen that one.
I'm mock shock at you right now. How have you not seen Shazam?
I don't know.
That's a great movie.
There are some that I don't get a chance to see, and it is what it is.
Shazam is a great movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you should see that. He plays Shazam in that.
Okay.
And that one's fun.
Sure.
But he is starting to become like the Rock does a lot of family friendly films, and he's turning into that. And so I really appreciate you, Zach. Good job, man. Look forward to seeing the next movie, and hopefully we can get some kind of cameo or something set up where he can say hello to you. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
And then my actual person gratitude is you for coming and doing the show. This is sometimes very brave to come in and do these things. It's very vulnerable. It's sometimes raw and hard. So I appreciate you coming and spending your time with me.
I appreciate the opportunity, and especially appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about Guide Dogs because, like I said, they're an amazing organization.
And anytime you want to talk, you will give me a call, and I will set this up again.
Because I did so well with getting back to you initially.
We have been working on this since before Thanksgiving, I believe.
I know. Although, if I recall, you also told me that I didn't have to worry about anything until after the holidays.
True, because I was dealing with some stuff, and then I had an emotional breakdown.
Yep.
So I'm just now kind of coming out of the fog of all of that.
Yeah.
2.5 months of kind of...
Winter is hard.
No, it wasn't winter. It was...
No, but that does seem to increase things for a lot of people.
Yeah. No, it was the official diagnosis that struck home.
Sure.
Yeah.
It can be difficult sometimes to
Well,
adjust to that.
no, it was more that I thought I hid it really well. And actually, Vanessa was like, I never would have known if we wouldn't have done this test.
Sure.
You hide it so well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's been that whole, well, now that it's out there, what do you do with it? Do you actually just keep hiding it, or do you embrace it and move forward?
Sure.
And I'm decided, especially with all of this, how can I be so selfish as to make other people or ask other people to come and be vulnerable if I'm not willing to do it myself? And
good point.
So it came to be that this was what needed to happen, and I've embraced it and trying to live with it. And I'm even more socially awkward than I once was.
But that's not, but you find a way to adapt and what works for you. And
boy, I don't know if people are not as accepting.
Well, I think we've covered that a couple of times, unfortunately.
We have.
But that's also where sometimes you have to just be like, okay, well, you know what? They're not going to be accepting, and move forward, and is what it is. That would be that you can't control them. So
all I can do is just keep going. Like when I'm on Twitter, man, all I try and do is be as positive as I can and make people laugh. That's my whole mission in life, is to make people laugh, smile, and try and bring more love and I don't know what the other word I'm trying to think of. More love and just caring for each other.
Yep. And recognizing that being positive doesn't mean that you're always happy, though, either. People are going to have bad days. And
you don't ever have bad days. You have great days.
Days are always great if I'm alive and have my kids. But
there you go.
But at the same time, I still can have bad days, and that's okay. But again, how I react to them is where
you're almost applying for sainthood right now.
No, far from sainthood.
No. Most people's halos are held up by golden horns. You don't have horns.
Nope.
You're almost. I believe you could probably heal the sick or something.
No, not even close.
I think you could.
No. Nope.
You know what? Actually, what's going to end up happening is you're going to touch a bunch of people's lives just by doing this.
Well, I hope so.
Well, I hope so too. I mean, I always hope that people come and watch this and take something away from it. Yes. Even if it's just that I'm a huge jerk. I don't care. That's fine.
Take something away, yes.
Yeah, just take something away.
Yep.
If you learn something, whether good or bad, you learn something.
You learn something, exactly.
Like I recently had a really bad date. Well, I learned that person is not who I should be dating.
There you go. Yep. And see, again, what we do with it is the difference as opposed to...
Yeah. What I did with it is ate a bunch of ice cream.
Well, Ben and Jerry's.
Of course.
Well, of course.
I mean, if you're gonna do it,
right, do it.
If you're gonna be wrong, be really wrong. Be wrong.
Yeah,
right.
That was always my dad. Will always joke with that theory of well, if you're gonna do something, do it well. And so, we've got a joking relationship, and so. I always tease him about annoying him or whatever. And I'm like, hey, you always told me if I was going to do it well. And
right.
Right. So I'm just following your advice.
Joey says that too, right? Like when Phoebe's craving steak or meat, she's like, I want bologna. He's like, no, if you're going to do that. And he whips out the big ribeyes.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Eat these.
When she's pregnant. And, goes to eating meat, and then he's not going to eat meat. And
are you a big meat eater?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm working on
good steak. Yep.
April 1st, I'm doing another 30-day meat cleanse.
Oh, good luck.
I've done 2 of them already.
Sure.
I struggle a little bit with the meat.
Well, honestly, with any of those type of things, once you get past that initial 7 days ish, then it gets a little bit easier.
Well, it's great that there's so many.
I've never attempted meat, but
there's so many vegan options and vegetarian options these days that, like the Impossible Whopper. You ever had the Impossible Whopper?
No.
Oh my goodness, you can't even tell it's not a Whopper.
Okay.
It's so good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I enjoy meat. I'm not one to. Yeah, I don't foresee that one. I have a couple of different occasions worked on decreasing, and actually on one occasion I was actually able to cut eating desserts like sugars out of my diet. For a while, but
that's a hard one.
It is. I greatly enjoy my candy and chocolate, and
my big thing was
I'm currently not attempting to do that, so don't worry, I will enjoy these. Right.
I struggle with soda. That was my big vice.
Yes.
I'm back to drinking all water again.
Okay.
So
Good job.
hopefully.
Yep.
I'm preparing to start running again too. So I'm very excited.
You know what? I did that last night.
You ran?
I did.
How far do you usually run?
I don't know. I don't have anything that measures how far. So I live on a dead end street, and so I just kind of make a loop from my driveway about a block and just repeat that loop. It gets pretty boring, but it's also a safe place for me to run because with it being on the dead end street, no one else is coming down that way unless, with the exception of occasionally we'll get a car that doesn't realize it's a dead end street. But for the most part, if they're coming down, then they're coming down for a reason. And at that point, they all know that I can't see them, so they need to watch out for me and not so much me watch out for them. So it does get a little bit boring, but it's a safe place for me to run, and I know the street. And
do you jam out to music while you run, or?
Not so much. I don't really have a playlist on my phone, so I just try to get into some type of a thinking about this, that, or the other thing that can distract me from counting minutes or laps and go from there. But yeah. But I actually did I stopped drinking pop back in 2017.
Nice. Good for you.
So,
I was doing a workout regimen. My grandma was still alive, and I had gone from 260 pounds, and I was down to 212. So I'd lost a lot of weight, and I finally accomplished my goal of running 5 miles continuously without stopping.
Yep.
And no one would celebrate with me.
Aww.
So I went in and ate cake and ice cream, and I haven't ran since.
Yeah.
And my body is now letting me know. My doctor, my cardio. I told this story yesterday. My cardiologist looked at me and called me a very large man. And then my actual doctor here a couple months ago was like, "So your weight?" Like, yeah. And she's like, "We probably just need to, your age is not great. We need to start working on." Like, she was trying to be polite about it, but she's like, maybe it's time to start thinking about better life choices.
Yeah.
All right. You got me, Doc.
Fine.
I have to.
Start. Yep. That is the hard thing, though, with exercise. I mean, unless you truly love it and enjoy, I'm a fair, in terms of exercising outside, I'm more of a fair weathered individual, which of course in Iowa gives us 10 days out of the year.
Oh yeah, you just fried or crisp. Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you enjoy the swimming? Is that something you enjoy?
Oh yeah, I do enjoy swimming. I don't do swimming for exercise. It's more just leisure.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is, at this point trying to see under the water, even with goggles, staying in one lane. It would be more, I would be afraid that, I can't walk in a straight line, let alone swim in a straight line. And I've always been that way. Like, my rule, I've always said I can dance. I could dance to what I needed to do, but to walk in a straight line, nope.
Do you enjoy the roller coasters or the water slides?
Ooh. It has to be an or?
Or both.
I enjoy both. I have noticed over the last few years where I tend to get a little bit more motion sickness, sometimes with roller coasters, like if I continually are on them and flipping upside down and that type of a thing. But I enjoy both. I do.
I'm terrified of roller coasters.
Oh, no, I enjoy them.
The heights get me, and that's where you're at an advantage.
Right, I can't see it.
Yeah.
I know it's there, and yep, but no, can't necessarily see that end result, so to speak. But there's also a good and a bad to that too. When you can see what's coming versus, the boys and I went to Adventureland this last year, and I forgot the name of the Monster. Nope, not the Monster. The new one that like you flip around while it's moving. Yeah, that one. I have to admit that one ride on that, and I was like, I don't think I can do that one again today. That was a lot of flipping back and forth.
Yeah, there was one of my favorite rock bands. They did a music video where they rode the Beast 7 times in a row.
Oh.
And there's a few times where the guys are like, gotta take a break. Can't do this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you don't necessarily get that with the water slides so much.
I was terrified on one of the water slides.
Well, I'm sure you probably were, because you would have that height.
No, it was one of the ones that it was extreme or whatever, and I was like, It can't be that bad.
Uh-huh.
And we all got in our little raft, and I was like, okay. And I was facing the tube, so I could see the tube.
Okay.
And then after they kicked us, my weight shifted me
Sure.
so that my back was to the tube, and it was a straight drop for about 60 feet. And that was terrifying. I thought I was going to fall off the raft. That was horrifying. I don't know if I could do that again.
Yep. But see, now that you've done it once without seeing, you might be good. Yeah.
I don't like that fear of possibly falling off the water slide.
Well, no, that's not exactly a good fear, but you didn't, and
not that
obviously
time.
no one else has. So,
well, I mean, I went out of the raft. I was afraid to fall off the raft.
Right.
People do
the
do
only
that.
water slide that I have to say that I don't know if I could get myself to do, and it was one of those I saw on a show, like 10 most extreme water slides or whatever it is, but it's a tube, and I think it kind of goes down a mountain, and then there's like a loop in it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go, but there's like this trap door for the people who get stuck.
Yep. My niece got stuck in that once.
See, that terrifies me a little bit. And I think it's more that idea of like, okay, if they don't realize that I got stuck, like, am I going to get out? But yeah, that's
you have to have enough inertia
to get up and around. And yeah, I don't know if I could do that one.
Did you do the one here in town?
The water slide?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember when that was at Chapman's.
Yeah, Chapman's was a good time.
Yes, it was.
I liked the mini golf.
Of course. Spaceball.
Spaceball.
Is
that where you jump on the trampoline?
And you sent the ball through.
Yeah.
Yep, that was always my favorite. But yeah, they had the water slide there and the bumper boats and that was a fun place.
Yep, then it moved into Planet X bought part of it, and then Vinton Parks Department bought that.
Yep.
Well, that was a sad day when all that went.
It was.
They got a new one sort of now called Spare Time up in Cedar Rapids.
Really?
It's like an adult arcade.
I had not heard about
bowling and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I just gave you free advertising. Spare Time. Do you have any tattoos? You ever going to get a tattoo?
I do not have any. I have thought about getting one, but haven't. I can't decide I just can't decide if I want to do that or not.
Yeah.
So my problem is if I had one, I would want it where it was pretty much always concealed, which of course basically then means the ribs, and that
would be painful.
Pain.
Well, I mean, you could get one maybe like on your thigh or something. You could cover that up, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Or like on the collarbone, perhaps.
Yeah, but then I mean, if you wear even a V-neck or I mean, women's shirts would be a little bit easier to see there, and depending on swimsuits on the thigh would.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Isn't the idea of having a tattoo to kind of show it off a little bit, though?
Maybe. For me, it wouldn't be. It would be more.
What kind of tattoo would you get? Let's start there.
I've gone back and forth. If I did one, I would either do something in connection to my favorite Bible verse or something with the boys' birthdays.
All right. What's your favorite Bible verse?
If
that was even English, that was
right. It's Matthew. I believe it's 13:6. I always sometimes forget the numbers a little bit, but the gist of it. So I have actually paraphrased this into my own wording, which my pastor just laughs at me. So the Bible verse is the one where it talks about that it's kind of to help with like anxiety or anything, but that idea of like, God he dresses the wildflowers, he takes care of the birds, he, you're his favorite creature, so of course he's going to take care of you type of thing too. But the way that I have shortened it, because it's a very long verse, generally speaking, but my shortened version of it is that God takes care of the stupid birds, so he'll take care of me too.
Nice.
Since
I like it.
Yeah, since I don't like birds. Like I said, my pastor just laughs at me. And
so you don't mind eating the chicken then?
No, right?
One less bird in the world.
Exactly.
Eat the chicken.
Exactly. Yeah. When birds fly into windows, I have a tendency to laugh.
Oh. I killed the bird doing that once. I felt horrible.
How did you kill the bird?
I was driving.
To the window.
No. I was driving and I came into his flight path. That was my fault.
I don't know. Natural selection.
I still feel bad about the raccoon I hit that I caught, locked eyes with them, and I was like, man, there's nothing I can do. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I still feel horrible about that.
I don't know. No, I don't like birds. I'm thankful for God putting them on the earth and them having a place, but
there are a lot of them are just food.
Part of them, his placement is to annoy me, apparently. So,
or to feed other birds, cats.
To feed other birds, cats,
foxes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
We burned another 45 minutes.
Oh, look at that.
Isn't that wild?
Not surprised.
We're doing what's called an Iowa goodbye.
Right? It just keeps going and
yeah.
going. And,
Tammy and I do those all the time. Like, I'll call her and I'm like, all right, I'm hanging up now. And 20 minutes later, we're
still,
because one of us thought of something else we needed to say to each other.
Of course. Yeah. It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
Yep. And then.
Especially in Iowa, where everyone does it.
Right. It's just, it's acceptable.
Hey, by the way, Big E broke his neck. I don't know. I know you don't know who he is. His name's Etoile. I don't know his real name. I can't say it.
Okay.
But he's a professional wrestler. Played for Iowa, and he broke his neck. And we just want to wish well wishes, man. Hope you start feeling better and get better, man. Definitely. I heard about that, and I meant to talk about it yesterday, and I forgot, and it just popped in my head. So, Big E, I hope you're doing better, man.
Thanks. How did he break it? Was it during wrestling?
Yeah, it was during wrestling. He got dropped on his head by, it was an accidental thing.
Of course,
We want to believe. I don't.
No, I wouldn't say that they did it intentionally, no.
So, I mean, things like that. It's like anything else. You know the risks when you go out to do it. And
Yep.
So, I'm sorry it happened to you, and I hope you get better, man.
Yeah,
really,
definitely.
truly do. He was at the Iowa-Penn State game that I attended.
Okay. All right.
Do you watch the sports on TV?
Not a big sports watcher on TV. No, I much prefer in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I watch Super Bowl, but that's about it.
Yeah, don't get me. That's when I realized football's rigged, man. That's when I realized football's rigged. Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, no, in person. Yeah. Definitely more in person, but.
All right.
Yep.
Is there anything on your bucket list you haven't done yet?
I'm not a big bucket list type person, but there are some things that I would like to do. I would like to go visit Alcatraz.
Okay, that's kind of a different one.
I've been out to San Francisco area a couple of times, and that just I've been around it on a ferry, but haven't actually toured it.
Okay.
I think that would be very interesting. And actually something that I've wanted to do since the boys were young is to go on a trip out east to like Washington, D.C., New York. And actually with the school, occasionally we'll do trips. One of the teachers works with an organization to set that up. And so we are actually registered to do that in fall of 23.
Nice,
so
good for you.
I'm very excited about that.
My son's going to New York in April.
Okay, so probably the same type of trip, maybe? If
musical
it's with
trip.
Okay,
Yep.
Musical trip. Okay,
Yep.
This one's not with the musical groups, but it's, hit all the sites in Washington, D.C. and New York. And I'm
Be
very
careful.
excited.
It's very dangerous over there.
This is the thing that I like about with going with this way is everything they have, a bus that meets us and takes us where we're going and, all of those things. And so I don't have to attempt to do Uber and figure out, where I'm going. And
Friend of mine and I went to Mardi Gras, and that was wild but dangerous.
I bet so. Yes, yeah.
It's dangerous.
I bet so.
Not wild in the way people normally think of it.
Sure.
There was 2 million people in a 20 block radius.
Right. Yep.
And the parades were amazing.
Oh, I'm sure. I was down in New Orleans back when I was in graduate school. There was a conference down there that we went to.
Bet you hated the food. A little spicy down there.
I tended to try to get things that were a little bit more mild, and I was okay with that. But there were a couple of dishes I think I ordered that I was like, ooh, that's a little bit more spicy than.
Did you eat gator while you were down there?
No, I did not. But I did go on a swamp tour.
Okay.
So we got to see the gators and things up close, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Gator is like chicken and steak had a baby.
Okay.
Because it's got the steak texture, but the chicken like lightness.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say it tastes like chicken,
right?
But it's like it's kind of more like a pork. To me.
Okay. Yeah. So the interesting thing about the swamp tour is, they had of course where, you throw marshmallows and the gators would come up, and it was pretty cool. And I thought that was really cool, and I was good up until the time that the tour guide said that because we saw somebody water skiing. And he was like, yeah, it's not really the gators you have to worry about, but it's the poisonous snakes. And I was just like, land?
What?
Land is good. Let's go. Yeah. Gators I was good with. Our boat surrounded by gators, all good. But you start talking poisonous snakes, nope, I'm done. But yeah.
All right.
So I would say that those probably would be a couple of things that I'd really like to look forward on doing. But Made it to Hawaii a few years ago. That was awesome.
I'm mad at you for that one.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
One of my favorite, like, I'm not a big scary movie fans, but it's kind of like a psychological movie. It was
Sure.
called The Perfect Getaway. Did you ever hear about that one?
I did not.
That one was filmed in Hawaii. It's
Okay.
about these 6 people that are on a walking trail, and 2 of
Okay.
them are killers, and you're trying to figure out who it is.
Okay. Okay.
And Timothy Oliphant's in it, and Steve Zahn's in it. That was good.
Right.
That was
Okay.
a really underrated movie.
Well, another psychological one is Copycat. Do you remember that one?
I feel like I saw it, but I can't tell
mean,
you.
it was back in the 90s. She was a doctor who specialized in profiling serial killers. And then one almost got her, and then she became, someone who was isolated to her home and afraid of leaving her home. And then there became these copycat killings that were going on.
There was one that would terrify
Very
you,
good
but you
movie.
won't ever see it because, well, first of all,
Snakes on a plane?
Well, no, it involves a snake, but also there's not a lot of talking in it. And I can't remember what it's
okay.
called, but it was this
Okay.
lady who her ex-husband they're getting divorced, and it's going to end up costing him a lot of money,
Sure.
and so he figures the way around it is to kill her.
Sure.
So what he does is he puts a microchip on a snake, a very poisonous snake, and then drops it into her house, and then he can endorphinize the snake through the microchip. And the whole movie is her walking around the house, and the snake he's monitoring the snake and where it's at compared to her. And like there's this bathtub scene where she's in the bathtub and the snake actually climbs into her as she was getting out.
This is a horrible movie.
Yeah, it was. The end was really great because she ends up catching the snake and puts it in, because he was an architect.
Okay.
So she puts it in one of the paper rolls the architects use to keep their blueprints rolled up in.
Okay.
And so then when he picks up the architect roll, he opens it and jumps out and kills him. Yeah.
Okay.
So she actually defeats him.
So the moral of the story is don't mess with the next wife?
That and don't get snakes involved.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a horrible movie. I think I will pass.
Yeah.
My kids a few months ago asked if we had the movie Snakes on a Plane. And I'm like, why would that even be in our house?
Do you allow R-rated movies in your home?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Some of the things I have to remember too is like, and of course, I mean, at 16, 13, a little bit different, but, I remember there were probably things that I remember watching as a kid. And then as I watch it as an adult, I'm like, ooh, wait a minute. But the reality is totally went over my head when I was younger. And, obviously, when they were younger, I watched that a little bit more as to what they did and didn't watch and things. And obviously there are certain things that aren't acceptable and stuff, but yeah, R-rated movies, I don't put a kibosh to, but honestly, there's not much that's not R-rated anymore either, which is kind of a sad.
The standards have changed,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it really has. I honestly, going back to Friends, unfortunately, but if you've ever noticed, like if you watch season 1 compared to season 10, the things that were acceptable to say on TV in season 10 that would have never been acceptable in season 1 is kind of.
Well, it's gotten even worse now.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't judge anyone. I have no right to judge anyone. I'm one of the worst people that's ever lived, and I admit that. I own that. And plus, with all the things that I live with, how could I ever judge anyone for what they do?
Sure.
But I have found that with our tolerance comes the lack of morality.
Yes.
And sometimes I wish that we could find a happy medium.
Yeah.
It's okay to be who you want to be. It's fine. Be whoever you want. But there's a level of respect and dignity that needs to go with it.
There's still a right and wrong.
Right.
And unfortunately, that definitely in our society has gone away with many things. And yeah. It's very much unfortunate, things that definitely were not acceptable because of that, and now it's like, oh, okay, well, you offended me, so now no.
No, we're no longer friends. Hey, you know what? We
But
just hit Jerry
Aaronstein's
Mark almost.
Mark. Hey,
We're at
look at that.
223.
All right.
So
And he was what, 217?
no, 230.
Oh, okay. So we need to do an Iowa goodbye for another 10 minutes just to
solidify
make
it.
sure, right?
I mean, yeah, sure. What else do you want to talk about?
Oh.
You bring up the
now
topic.
I have to bring up the topic with that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go back to Guide Dogs for the Blind, which I say GDB a lot, but one of the things that sometimes gets overlooked that, and again, this can be a shout out of gratitude, are the individuals who are our puppy raisers. These are individuals who, as I briefly mentioned before, raise the dogs from the times that they're 8 weeks old until they go back to get the actual official training for guide work, and the time and energy that they put into raising these dogs, teaching them, the house behaviors and potty training them and getting them socialized is a 24-hour job. And Marcella was also sharing her gratitude with that. For those of you who didn't hear, she just totally gave out a grumble and groan. She loved her puppy raisers. They're amazing people. But these individuals, and to do it with knowing that they're giving these dogs up, that they're doing it for, and you talk to any of them and they all say, I'm doing it to help someone. I'm doing it, for a great cause, but still you get attached to these animals and, they're like your own kids. And
I don't know though.
Individuals.
I get that, but also at the same point in time, there has to be a sense of pride because you accomplished something. You got that dog to its goal.
To its goal, yes. Definitely.
And so
definitely. I think. But I mean, you look at the time and the effort. I mean, these individuals they do, and there's a combination. Some people are retired individuals. Some people are. They actually sometimes it's families. Sometimes it's kids that are doing it. There's puppy raising clubs where they will have various dogs in various stages. Some of the clubs, like there might be certain groups of certain people who might work really well with, like, hey, I've got the 8-week-old to the 6-month mark, and those are the ones they excel with, and they work those, and then it might go to a 6-month, someone who does 6 months to 12. But just the time and effort and energy that they put into these dogs is just absolutely amazing. And the dogs remember them. Marcella, the year after I got her, we actually went out and we had the opportunity to stay with her puppy raisers, which it was awesome. It was so much fun. And it was so much fun to see Marcella because as soon as we got there, she remembered where we were. And it was very cute because there were times she'd go up to them and then she'd come back to me and be like, okay, yep, you're still good. Okay. Just that back and forth. And,
she's a sweet girl.
Oh, she's very, very sweet. Very, very sweet. But yeah, no, shout out definitely to the puppy raisers because they are amazing people and take the dogs back. And, because the dogs have different standards that they have to show GDB that they're doing at different times. And so that going back and forth and taking them when they need to have those and continuing on. And yeah, amazing, and correcting any behaviors that, are ones that need to be corrected, teaching them not to bark. Anyone who's been around Miss Harlan knows that she doesn't bark unless she's in a really deep dream, and then sometimes I'll hear her give a little yip. But
does she not warn you that someone's outside?
No, she does not bark. Nope, not at all. She's trained not to bark. Which, and if you think about it, I mean, she's out in public, so the last thing you want is to have a dog barking at people.
Well, I get that. But that's like one of the things about Paris that I really like is that I may not even know someone's even close, and I'll see her head pop up and
sure.
Like, oh, all right, someone's around that you're not sure about.
Nope. She is definitely not a guard dog. That's not what she's trained for. Now, someone comes in the house, she might trip them because she wants to be loved. But,
lick their face until they die.
Right. But even then, sometimes that's only if she knows the people too. Like, oh, hey, I know you. And but yeah, no, she is definitely trained not to bark. And if they had a dog that they couldn't get trained to not bark, then they would actually get career changed. So, and what I mean by that is Guide Dogs for the Blind. So any dog they breed, they use labs and they use golden retrievers. Sometimes they'll do a crossbreed. but any dog that is born for GDB could potentially be a guide dog. And then the dogs have to meet certain criteria as they go. They have very high expectations, so that the dogs turn out like this. And of course, you still see the different personalities amongst all these dogs, which is just amazing. It's so much fun to see their personalities. But so as they're going through, if there's a dog who's not quite meeting the standards, in order to guide, like one of the things is they have to be able to walk a certain way, not like constantly pulling or yanking. And, if a dog can't quite get over that, they might end up being career changed. Or sometimes dogs are career changed because they can't quite get the guide work, or they don't ever learn to not grab those fries off the floor, as opposed to I'm a dog and I'm going to grab it, but no, constantly doing those things. So, but dogs can be career changed, either to being another type of working dog. So like maybe they have really great working dog characteristics, but maybe they're just not quite getting the guide work. Or I know that there's been times where they've had a dog who's done amazing with the guide work. One of the criteria that GDB has is the dogs will work with their boots on. So they have boots to wear when it's bad weather, winter weather, or hot summer to protect their paws, or on escalators. And but sometimes the dogs will get those on and they just refuse to work. And so, great working dogs, so they might get career change to being, like a diabetic dog or another organization where the dog wouldn't require the boots and stuff. And sometimes they have the dogs who get career change to being a pet dog because that dog's personality is such of like, yeah, no, working life's not for me. Thanks. They don't.
I mean, that's my attitude. I can't wait until I hit the lottery and can retire and all that.
I have a friend who has a career change dog into a pet dog, and that dog is perfectly content living a life of leisure. And yep, actually, she sent me a picture the other day, and the dog, she's like, I caught this banana bread thief in the act, and the dog had a little piece of the banana bread. It was absolutely adorable.
I mean, my dog goes to work with me sometimes.
Sure.
I do personal shopping, and so like today, it's nice enough. She'll go with me.
Sure.
And she'll just sit in the car.
In the car, yep.
And then every time I get back in the car, it's like I've been gone for years and years.
Yep, happy to see you.
Just like, good God, stop licking me. I don't need you on my face all the time.
But she wants to know how much you miss, Those 5 minutes in a person's life is significantly longer in a dog's life.
Yeah. Well, she also gets to go and to the dance studio and play around.
Sure.
So then she gets tuckered out.
Right. Yep. It's always good for him to be able to run. Marcella is a little irritated with me because I've opened up the house, but I haven't let her in the backyard to run yet just because it's still a little muddy.
Yeah.
And she just kind of longingly looks outside and I
can't wait for the day.
Right? It's nice outside. Why?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Happens.
But it does. It does.
Yeah. All right, friend. We are actually over time. As far as
look at that.
Yeah. You beat him by a minute.
Hey.
And so.
All right. Now Jerry's gonna come back on just to make sure he can get past that.
You know what? I would welcome that. Jerry was...
He's a great guy.
He's a great...
Yep.
Some of the things that he talked about, I never would have imagined that he'd gone through, so...
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he shares his experiences with the kids at the school. Yeah, that's amazing.
The 9/11 experiences.
All of it, yeah. 9/11, different religion. I mean, he does
being
a lot with...
Being bullied.
Yeah, he just,
did you ever feel like you were bullied? I know it's a big thing right now.
No.
No?
I don't. No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if there was an incident, obviously I've rationalized it away or anything, but no, I can't ever remember that. I've always been very fortunate, and I honestly, I don't know if it's a combination, like with my vision of having the Braille school in town, that, people were already adapted to things. But, I also think even like in present day, some of it's just the smaller town Midwest mentality. One of the things that's happened with the pandemic, and I've talked with other individuals who have guide dogs, and some of them have really struggled in other areas where people would get angry with them because they weren't social distancing. Mm-hmm. And, to help them understand that of like, okay, well, if I could see you,
right? If I knew where you were at, I would.
Right, and the dogs are not trained to social distance. I mean, they're trained to do what they're trained to do and go around people, and a safety, they get as close, technically as close as possible to a certain extent. And, to them, to a certain extent, people are just like another object they have to go around. And so unfortunately, some people have really struggled with having to deal with that. And that was not something I ever ran into. People, tended not to have that. But no, I don't ever feel like I was bullied. And in regards of adjusting to having Marcella, I've always found people to be very accepting.
That's good.
Of her. I ran into one incident where there was a restaurant in Cedar Rapids, and afterwards I talked with the manager and told him that he handled it very, very well. But we had sat down, and Marcella actually was accused of having made a mess on the floor, and I'm like, no, she guided me, she laid down, and that was the end of it. And then because the manager asked me to take her out, and I said, we kind of were going back and forth, and not back and forth in an argumentative way, but just in a discussion. And as the discussion progressed and things, and I said, are you sure there wasn't something on the floor? Otherwise, I said, if she had made a mess, I said, I'm more than happy to take her out, because obviously, I'm like, one, I need to know that, because something must be wrong, because she would have made a mess while she was guiding, and things. And secondly, if she did, you have every right to ask me to take her out, and more than happy to oblige that. And I said, but are you sure there wasn't something else on the floor? And he handled it. He goes, well, I can go check the security cameras. And he's like, if I'm wrong, I owe you 1,000 apologies. And I'm like, well, I'd appreciate it. And we'll go from there. And he came back, and he's like, I owe you 999 more apologies. There just was like a piece of mud or something on the floor that when Marcella went by, it caused the attention of someone else, another patron, to be like, oh, something's on the floor. And they just assumed Marcella had made it. And he's like, no, she came in, she guided you around and laid down, and that was that. And like I said, that's the only issue I've ever run into with her around here. And it wasn't even really an issue. He handled it very well and worked through it. And yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
All right, friend.
All right. Well, thank you.
They're going to kick us out of here pretty soon, because I only have the room till 3.
All right.
We're over time.
Oh.
But again, appreciate you coming on. It's been
Thank you again.
enjoyable.
It has been very enjoyable, and great opportunity to talk about everything, including Marcella and GDB, and anyone's looking somewhere to put money towards a good cause. Go check them out.
Guide Dogs for the Blind.
Guide Dogs for the Blind. Yep, definitely.
All right. Well, until Saturday, everyone, because I'm doing my brother's on Saturday, we will have to wait until then. So until then, make sure everyone's kind to each other, love each other, and, hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye. Killed that one. Gotta come over here and kill this one. That's weird. Silly thing falling off the table.
Well, probably just a shift of gravity.